A brutal, chaotic battle rages as terrified soldiers scream to take down Road. They label the young boy a total monster for wielding forbidden, dark arts. Suddenly, Road arrives, soaring high upon his shadow dragon. Releasing his dark energy, he proudly introduces himself as that very monster. Then, he lands directly in front of the massive opposing army. They call him a monster, sure, but he knows there is only one real reason they fear him so much. He is the only necromancer on Earth. And watch this, an epic clash between his undead legion and the human army is about to erupt. His skeletal soldiers charge ahead with absolute fury. On the opposite side, the human warriors are desperate for blood, praying for Road's swift demise. Enemy mages begin chanting a massive fire spell together, shouting that this world has absolutely no place for such twisted, forbidden magic. A devastating storm of burning meteors starts raining down directly onto Road. But Road does not even flinch, choosing this exact moment to unleash a terrifying forbidden spell of his own. Suddenly, he wakes up in a strange room to a voice calling him young Master Road. Dazed and confused, he finds his maid, Leah, staring down with deep worry. Leah tells him that breakfast is already served. But as Road touches the nearby glass, he realizes something is incredibly wrong here. Staring at his youthful reflection, he realizes he has somehow traveled 20 years back into the past. He clearly remembers his past life, where at 32 years old, he had reincarnated into a fantasy world. In that world, he grew to be the supreme necromancer and sovereign mage, commanding a totally invincible army of darkness. Road recalls how his enemies joined forces to destroy him, forcing him to cast a highly secret spell to turn back time. Noticing he is completely lost in his thoughts, Leah urges him to move fast, warning that the Lord will show no mercy if he is late. Road softly apologizes to Leah and promises he is leaving right this second. The maid stands frozen in absolute shock, wondering if this smiling, polite boy is truly her cold young master. Stepping out into the grand hallway, Road recalls his current identity, the lazy, utterly spoiled youngest son of a failing aristocratic household. He vividly remembers how his family originally collapsed, and how he had to watch everyone die while standing by completely powerless. Even though his powers are gone, he still retains his legendary necromancer memories and swears to rewrite their tragic fates. Moments later, Road enters the dining hall to face his gathered family. Baron Shiro Morris demands to know if his son is late once more, simply looking to dodge his daily magic training. But Road quickly bows and apologizes to his father, calmly stating he has no intention of skipping his lessons, promising to attend every single lesson from now on, while quietly thinking it has been decades since he last saw his father so furious. Road begins to wonder how such a brutally strict family actually went bankrupt, swearing to uncover the dark conspiracy behind it all. His older brother, Leo, scoffs, saying he can never afford to be this lazy if he expects to inherit the family title. However, his sister Sif steps in, pleading with Leo to go easy on him and behave like a proper older brother. Sif gently passes some food to Road, who quietly thanks her, touched by her endless warmth. He remembers how she suffered a horrific fate after an arranged political marriage, and swears he will protect her from it this time. Just then, another person enters. It is Lady Della Morris, who coldly asks if Road is slacking off once again. Sif immediately tries to cover for her brother, claiming she kept him up late practicing magic. But Della snaps, telling Sif to shut her mouth and stop making such embarrassing excuses for the boy. Della warns that her patience has completely run dry, giving him a strict 1-week ultimatum to master magic or face banishment. Sif panics at the impossible deadline, arguing that even their genius elder brother required a full month to learn the basics. But the cruel matriarch refuses to listen, threatening to disown Sif and strip her name if she utters another word. Terrified by the threat, Sif quickly looks down, whispering that she would never dare disobey her mother. But check this out, Road steps up and accepts the crazy 1-week challenge, leaving Sif utterly horrified by his madness. But he stays perfectly calm, boldly asking his mother what his prize will be if he actually pulls it off. Amused, Della replies that if he somehow succeeds, she will grant him any single favor he desires. Road seals the deal on the spot, demanding full access to the Tomb of Heroes as his prize. This bizarre request completely blindsides his father, Shiro. Shiro reluctantly agrees to the terms, declaring that if his son truly masters basic magic in one single week, he will personally permit him to enter the sacred Tomb of Heroes. Della sneers, telling Road he will never be worthy and should just start packing his bags. Outside the hall, Sif rushes after Road, demanding to know why he did not just apologize instead of accepting that insane, impossible challenge. She reminds him that his past behavior heavily angered their mother, adding that even their genius brother Leo could not master magic in 1 week. She softly reveals she has quietly saved up enough gold to ensure he will live comfortably, even if their family casts him out. Right after, she dashes off to grab the money. Meanwhile, Rode can only sigh, wishing his sister had at least a little faith in his actual abilities. Still, he admits that without his past lifetime of experience, he probably wouldn't believe he could surpass Leo either. Determined to completely change his family's dark future, Rode knows it is finally time to act. He plans to summon the undead inside the Tomb of Heroes, knowing a legendary figure lies asleep deep within that sacred place. For now, he decides to start by hunting down the boss monster lurking in the woods behind the family castle. Soon, Rode tracks down the massive remains of an earth-splitter alpha beast. But checking his internal magic, he finds his current body's mana is pretty pathetic. Realizing how badly he neglected his magic training in the past, he recalls that magic ranks and powers in this world are split into 8 major tiers. While legendary mages made history, Rode has already climbed far past all those limits to become the absolute strongest. Right now, his tiny mana only lets him raise 1 servant. Luckily, that is plenty to impress his mother. Rode reaches out his hand, ordering his new servant to awaken from its long sleep and bow down before his absolute power. The dirt explodes as a massive claw claws its way out. Moments later, the giant beast shatters the ground and breaks free. And get this, the giant monster slowly walks up and kneels, swearing total loyalty to a tiny kid. Rode scans the creature with magic flowing through his eyes, discovering this undead beast commands incredibly destructive fire and earth spells. He explains that a necromancer can borrow his summon's powers. This is going to be perfect for proving he finally mastered magic. To test it, he fires a spell directly at a nearby tree, easily blowing a massive hole straight through the trunk. The summoned beast growls in awe of his strength, while Rode casually thinks that this level of firepower is not bad. He quickly unsummons the beast, realizing his tiny mana pool makes holding this spell a massive drain on his energy. Even so, Rode knows this trick is more than enough to shut his overly demanding mother up. After heading back, he remembers the Tomb of Heroes is an ancient sacred sanctuary, holding the sealed power of legendary past warriors. It is a dream destination where ancient souls bless talented youths with magic, making it the ultimate goal for every aspiring mage. His brother Leo previously earned a major blessing there and became a war hero, making their mother despise Rode even more. But Rode has zero interest in a regular blessing. He is aiming for the mythical legend asleep deep inside. Arriving at the kingdom's Grand Noble Academy, someone suddenly screams out Rode's name. Sif is pretty annoyed that he vanished, complaining that she told him to wait. She warns him to behave, so he does not make their mother angry. She promises to beg for mercy on his behalf, but Rode tells his sister not to sweat it. He promises he won't get exiled from the family and will never abandon his precious sister. Despite his confident tone, Sif is still a bit anxious. Just then, their family maid appears, announcing that the young master's magic training class is about to begin. Rode nods, telling Leah to show him the way. Sif watches him go, deeply worried. She knows talk is cheap, and since even Leo struggled, she must still beg their mother for mercy. Walking into class, Rode finds himself surrounded by high-class noble kids, and you just know they want trouble. The youngest son of Baron Ant immediately starts mocking him, laughing that the useless slacker who always skips class finally showed his face. Laughter echoes through the room as the other students enjoy his humiliation. But Professor Regu cuts the teasing short, ordering Rode to take his seat immediately. Recalling how he was bullied daily for having 0 mana control, he realizes absolutely nothing has changed. Rode calmly bows to him, wishing him a polite morning and apologizing for being late. The teacher stands shocked, wondering if the slacker really just apologized since it is completely unlike him. Rode walks calmly to his desk, completely ignoring the intense, suspicious glare from the arrogant kid who mocked him. The smug bully huffs in annoyance, muttering that the kid is nothing but a massive hypocrite. Professor Regu begins the lesson, explaining that mana is a mysterious energy, and magic is the art of controlling it. He explains that after mastering basic energy control, students will specialize into classes like mages, healers, or sneaky assassins. The teacher adds that everyone begins as a humble apprentice and can rise up the ranks to become grand mages. A curious female student raises her hand, asking the professor about the fabled tier of legendary mages. He explains that those figures are living myths and symbols of national power, representing the ultimate peak of any magic user's dreams. Professor Regu sadly sighs that today, those legends are nothing but stories, revealing that the kingdom of Tatis hasn't produced a single legendary mage in 700 years. He warns they must focus entirely on mastering basic mana to secure their futures. especially before turning 13. The troublemaker points his finger and yells out, "There is only one person here who still has not mastered mana." He glares directly at Rode, mocking him for studying here for 3 whole years and still knowing absolutely nothing. Rode coldly snaps back, "Mind your own business," claiming he will master magic in just 1 week. The bully bursts out laughing, shouting to the entire class that this useless slacker promised to learn magic in a single week. Nearby students start snickering and whispering, highly amused by Rode's sheer audacity. Even the teacher looks completely disappointed, writing the boy off as a boastful, arrogant kid. Rode knows he could easily show off his real power right now. Still, he prefers to wait until the weekend so he does not end up scaring everyone too early. Once night falls, Sif heads straight to her mother's room for a serious talk. Dela sips her tea peacefully, asking what brings her daughter around so late. Sif bows deeply, begging from the bottom of her heart not to kick her little brother out of the family. Smash. Her mother slams her teacup on the table, demanding to know why she keeps defending that useless, good-for-nothing. Dela snaps that even if they are broke, they have noble pride, reminding her how the other kids mastered magic at a very young age. She points out that Rode is already 12, and they have no room for a lazy slacker. Dela points her finger sternly, warning her that the case is closed, and there is nothing left to discuss. Sif just keeps her head lowered, completely lost on how to save her beloved younger brother from exile. Now pay attention, because the big test is finally here. On the 7th day, the teacher gathers everyone in the courtyard to grade their progress. The master points to the windows, warning the students that their families are watching very closely. Up above, Sif and Dela watch together, though her mother grumbles that Rode will only embarrass them and tarnish their family name yet again. Sif stares down with a heavy heart, desperately wondering if her brother can actually pull off a miracle here. Meanwhile, Rode's rival is practically celebrating, bragging that he has been counting down the days to watch him fail miserably. Stepping forward arrogantly, he boasts that he will show this slacker real magic. He takes his stance, claiming elemental magic is his specialty before unleashing a sudden blast of fire. The fireball streaks across the courtyard, flying straight toward a heavy stone target. Direct hit. The target is instantly covered in thick smoke and flying sparks. The rival turns back to mock Rode, claiming he will never reach this level and daring him to show off. Completely unfazed, the main character steps up to the testing block with total composure. Suddenly, a terrifying wave of chilly, dark energy begins to seep out from his body. He slowly raises his arm toward the stone target, preparing to unleash his spell. The arrogant bully keeps laughing, shouting that he can already picture the poor main character crying from sheer embarrassment. Up at the window, a noble woman asks Dela if she truly intends to banish her own son if he fails. Dela responds with pure contempt, stating that a lazy kid like him only brings shame, so it is better if he just leaves for good. Down in the yard, Rode whispers his bone servant's name to ignite the spell. Instantly, a colossal tempest of brilliant blue fire and massive bones summons right before their eyes. He goes all in. Rode focuses every drop of energy to guarantee the impact. The snarky bully falls into utter shock, staring at that ridiculous, overwhelming amount of magical pressure. A massive, terrifying torrent of blue fire blasts forward, slamming violently into the stone target. Total destruction. The impact completely obliterates the massive testing block, reducing it to nothing but dust. Watching from above, Sif stands with her mouth wide open, cheering happily because her little brother actually pulled it off. The rest of the students stare in absolute disbelief, murmuring that there is no way a slacker could do that. Even their experienced teacher, Professor Regu, stands stunned, knowing no regular apprentice could ever summon this much power. Meanwhile, the smug kid stares at Rode, shaking with rage and unable to accept the truth. Beside Dela, the noble woman notes with a sarcastic smirk that this lazy kid does not seem so lazy after all. "Look there." Sif points excitedly out the window, shouting for her mother to look at how Rode completely crushed the test. Down below, the main character exhales a quiet sigh, calmly making the giant blue flame monster vanish. Sif waves happily to her brother from above, while Dela looks on with a silent, incredibly deep stare. Suddenly, Charlie Ant, the original troublemaker, yells out in a total fury, demanding to know how that slacker used fire magic. He points a shaking, accusing finger, screaming that Rode must have cheated because everyone knows the main character always skipped classes. The other students start whispering among themselves, also finding it pretty hard to believe Rode could cast such a crazy spell alone. Watch this. Charlie actually accuses Rode of stealing a legendary magic artifact from his family's treasury just to avoid getting kicked out. Rode slowly turns around, asking with a pretty cold stare what exactly young Master Charlie Ant is implying. Charlie smiles triumphantly, claiming magic tools drain a ton of mana, and challenges Road to cast it a second time. Completely ignoring his rival, Road turns to Professor Regu, asking directly what the teacher's take is on this. The teacher hates to admit it, but tells everyone that Charlie's claim actually makes sense under the current circumstances. The students whisper. They keep wondering if Road actually used a stolen artifact to cheat. Scythe panics up at the window, fearing her brother broke into the family treasury just to avoid getting kicked out. She tears up in sheer worry, knowing her parents will be even more disappointed in her brother if it is true. Desperate to save her younger brother from such a heavy accusation, she decides she has to step in right now. Scythe dashes down to the courtyard, pleading out loud for Professor Regu not to put all the blame on Road. Trying to lie to protect her brother, she claims she was the one who handed him the magic artifact in secret. But before she can finish, Road firmly grabs her arm to stop her. He gently asks Scythe to let him handle things himself and take complete control of the situation. Road simply asks the teacher if casting the exact same massive spell again would prove his innocence once and for all. The master agrees that if he can repeatedly unleash such high-level fire magic, it will prove everything. Road calmly nods, releasing his magic pressure in a terrifying, overwhelming new way. And you can literally see the pure terror on their faces as this massive pressure starts to crush them. With a simple word, Road fires another massive, devastating magical blast straight at the broken stone debris. Charlie stumbles back, sweating in pure terror, realizing this supposed slacker was not using a magic tool after all. Road does not stop. He gathers an even greater surge of raw power in his hand to end this. He glares at his arrogant rival with a pretty cold look, leaving the bully utterly paralyzed with fear. The remaining giant stone blocks disintegrate entirely under the absolute raw force of his consecutive, devastating strikes. Broken by the pressure, the bully collapses. He stares at the scene in absolute terror. One student asks with a trembling voice if this powerhouse standing before them is really the useless failure they knew. Scythe turns to her mother, asking if she will finally drop the idea of throwing Road out of the family. Dela looks away, muttering that she only accepts him for now, and warns there is no room if he gets lazy again. Professor Regu shouts for the whole courtyard to hear, officially declaring that Road did not use any cheating artifact. The intense day ends. A beautiful sunset begins to drape over the family's luxurious castle. Back inside the mansion, Scythe and his older brother Leo gather around Road to congratulate him on his epic win. Road thanks them, while Leo laughs that Scythe has not stopped talking about his test, inviting them to eat dinner together. The family gathers around the grand dining table once again to enjoy their evening meal. The father proudly congratulates Road, mentioning the teacher explained everything, and that he has made the Morris family proud. Road thanks his father, then respectfully asks if that promise regarding the Tomb of Heroes still stands. The Baron confirms it does, explaining that the sacred tomb opens in 1 month, promising a spot for his son. Della warns that securing a spot is pretty expensive, demanding Road get a powerful blessing to make up for it. The father adds that Road will now receive the exact same treatment as his siblings, telling him to train hard. Road bows low. He respectfully thanks his father from the bottom of his heart for finally recognizing his talent. Left alone, he chuckles, thinking that a hero's blessing is pretty useless to him when he can use necromancy to conquer the tomb. Here is his plan. He remembers an unmarked grave of an ancient warrior he wants as his next servant, but that ancient soul is slowly fading. Besides, his current mana is still too low to summon him yet. He smiles confidently, knowing his father's elite new treatment is the perfect opportunity to train and spike his power. Following a month of intense training, Leah opens the bedroom door, stating the Lord wishes to see him immediately. Road stands up confidently, noting that during this training period he successfully advanced to the intermediate apprentice mage tier. Strong enough to summon that soul, he listens as his father orders Leo to guide Road inside. Leo accepts the task promptly, answering with deep respect that he will fulfill his father's commands to the letter. Soon after, a horse-drawn carriage travels down a dirt path deep within the quiet forest toward the sacred site. Inside the carriage, Leo turns to Road, asking if he actually knows how the hero blessing ranks work. Road shows a lot of interest in the explanation, replying that he is quite eager to learn about it. Leo explains that blessings are split into 5 distinct tiers, ranging from common white to legendary red, granting immense powers. Road asks what rank Leo obtained, and his brother humbly answers that he only managed to get a purple blessing. The boy is pretty surprised, knowing a purple rank is extremely high, explaining why Leo became a hero in the royal army. Sif praises her brother. Getting any blessing is tough, she says, and a purple one is nearly impossible, even if Leo feels weak. She then turns anxiously to Road, advising him to give it his absolute best shot to at least get a common white blessing. Rode chuckles, telling her not to push him, thinking she would definitely smack him if she knew he did not want a blessing at all. They finally reach the entrance of the Grand Tomb of Heroes, guarded by massive statues of armored warriors. The entire area is wrapped in a dark, cold, and foggy vibe, filled with ancient tombstones of great warriors. Leo warns that Rode has exactly 3 hours inside to prove his worth while he and Sif wait outside. As Rode walks into the dark tomb, Sif silently thinks she would be thrilled if he got even a white blessing. Sif holds her pendant close to her chest, looking full of deep affection and concern for her little brother. Rode walks alone through the misty cemetery, surrounded by tombs of the kingdom's legendary heroes. With a pretty confident smirk, Rode thinks he has finally taken the very first step of his true plan. He remembers the advice to look for the most decorated tombs, since they belong to famous mages who grant rare blessings. But get this, Rode walks right past those massive fancy tombs, showing absolutely zero interest in them. He acknowledges his brother's advice was pretty decent, but knows the true legend is hidden under a totally ordinary, nameless grave. Rode stops right in front of the ancient, worn-out tombstone, respectfully apologizing to the soul for disturbing its rest. He closes his eyes and begins casting his powerful necromancy magic to wake the warrior. With his eyes glowing with bright blue flames, Rode commands the ancient hero to wake up and bow before him. The soul's energy begins to violently resist the order, making the young boy pretty annoyed at the spirit's sheer audacity. Rode asserts his supreme authority as the king of the dead, declaring that every single soul in this world belongs to him. An imposing figure of blue flames materializes right before him, revealing itself as a legendary mystic swordsman from long ago. Rode glares at the massive phantom with a steady gaze, coldly ordering the legendary entity to take a knee. The legendary warrior spins his glowing energy sword and bows respectfully, swearing allegiance and greeting his new master. Inspecting the spectral entity up close, Rode asks if the spirit still remembers its real name. The warrior admits he completely forgot his own name, humbly asking his master to grant him a brand new title. Rode sports a satisfied smile at the phantom's submission, giving him a brand new identity. From this moment on, he names the legendary, powerful, spiritual swordsman Bone Crown. Suddenly, firm footsteps begin to echo all the way down the stone corridor of the Tomb of Heroes. A group made up of an elderly man with glasses, a young lady with blue hair, and an armored knight walks through the foggy cemetery. The old man states that Eleanor, being from the prestigious Ashblade family, will surely obtain at least a purple rank blessing. The knight advises young Eleanor to focus on the larger tombs to ensure she gets the absolute best power available. The young lady firmly agrees with her companion's instructions, moving forward with her search. Eleanor stops before a massive tomb decorated with an angel statue, recognizing it as the tomb of the legendary hero Illus. The girl admires the statue in absolute awe, recalling that the hero was a formidable warrior who almost became a sage. Determined to gain his blessing, Eleanor runs toward the sacred monument. But wait, she stops abruptly as a violent, terrifying shockwave of blue energy hits her from nearby. The knight quickly steps in front of the girl, shouting a frantic warning that he senses a dreadful undead energy. A massive cloud of blue spiritual smoke begins floating, casting a heavy, freezing atmosphere over the entire area. They spot Rode off in the distance. Eleanor is surprised to see just a kid standing there, and the guard draws his sword, asking coldly if that evil aura came from him. The knight analyzes Rode, realizing he is just a beginner swordsman and concluding the boy is no ordinary child. He warns Eleanor to be careful, suspecting the boy might be possessed by a vengeful soul from the ancient tomb. The warrior channels blue electricity into his blade to prepare for battle, keeping his eyes locked on Rode. Rode just smirks dismissively beside his powerful new servant, sarcastically commenting on being called a vengeful spirit. Next, Rode crouches down and picks up a simple tree branch lying right there on the ground. Testing the branch's weight, Rode says it has decent balance, and coldly orders his servant to handle the fight. The knight charges with insane speed, throwing a crackling lightning strike straight at the kid. But with Rode calling the shots, his phantom swordsman easily blocks that electric surge with a tree branch. Shifting on a dime, Rode slips past the blade and cleanly disarms him, leaving the elite knight frozen in pure disbelief. Stunned by the kid's extraordinary speed, the knight shivers under Rode's cold stare. A totally unbeatable aura rolls off the boy. Eleanor watches the clash in absolute shock, unable to process how a master warrior just got schooled by a kid with a stick. She stares at Rode. He looks about her own age, leaving her completely baffled by how he worked that miracle. Pretty annoyed and confused, Eleanor points a finger. She demands to know his name, bragging about her powerful Ashblade lineage. But her grandfather shuts that down immediately, harshly snapping at her to keep her mouth shut in front of this kid. The girl freezes. Seeing her grandfather act so incredibly tense around Road absolutely terrifies her. Road just stands there, keeping quiet while his face remains completely hidden. He is quietly studying their frantic reactions. The old man studies Road, realizing that even he could not have neutralized that elite guard with such effortless ease. He wonders if this is sheer luck, or if the boy is an absolute monster. Meanwhile, the beaten knight drops to his knees, begging for a rematch. But the angry patriarch strikes his own guard right then and there, shutting down his total disrespect instantly. That heavy blow sends the knight crashing back. The elder slowly retracts his surging magical pressure, having properly disciplined his subordinate for insulting Road. Look at this shot. Road just stands there watching the drama, with his terrifying summon looming right behind him. The old noble coldly warns his knight, "If you dare make a move against this young man again, I will bury you here." He realizes with a shudder that Road used 0 mana, winning purely on insanely refined swordplay worthy of an absolute master. While Eleanor wonders who Road is, her grandfather steps up and literally begs the boy to show them mercy. The old noble bows deeply, offering a profound apology for his guard's offensive behavior. Road sees right through this performance, knowing the elder only stayed on the sidelines earlier to test out his true combat potential. Without wasting a second, the old patriarch barks a command for Leon to get over here and beg for the kid's forgiveness. Leon drops his head in a deep bow, frantically begging Road for mercy and admitting he was completely out of line. Sweating bullets from absolute terror, the guard realizes he just got utterly dominated by nothing more than textbook, basic swordplay. Road just shrugs. He tells them everything is fine since nobody got hurt in that extremely brief clash. Still, the elder remains in awe of Road's skills, muttering that only a legendary grandmaster could pull off such a feat. Eleanor stares in utter disbelief, baffled that her highly respected grandfather is treating this kid like some legendary master. Road plays it down, claiming it was mostly luck, even though he knows his bone-crowned spirit was an absolute monster in his prime. Igna lets out a hearty laugh, jokingly pointing out that the young master is incredibly humble for someone possessing such godlike strength. With a bow, he introduces himself as Igna Ashblade, head of their highly prestigious family. Then he introduces his granddaughter Eleanor, who immediately bows low and apologizes for her earlier bratty attitude. Igna then casually asks about his background, secretly convinced that a talent this extreme must belong to some massive, powerful faction. But Road explains he belongs to no one, adding that a mighty northern power like the Ashblade clan dwarfs his own small family. This leaves Igna completely stunned. The old man instantly starts plotting how to recruit this young monster to his side. Eleanor steps closer with a warm smile, asking if he is also exploring the tomb to receive a legendary hero's blessing. But as she gets close, she gets a bit flustered, while Road just keeps his cool. Suddenly, Igna starts coughing violently in absolute agony, shocking everyone around him. Eleanor and the knight panic, rushing to the old man's side as his condition takes a pretty terrible turn. Seeing a dark, sinister energy swirling around him, Road notes that the elder seems to be suffering from a cursed plague. Desperate, the knight begs for help, admitting they have already tried countless healers. Yet, absolutely nobody could find the root cause of his agony. Eleanor starts weeping, explaining her grandfather was ambushed by demons decades ago and has been suffering without any hope of a cure. Road realizes it is a demonic spirit plague, a highly rare affliction almost nobody knows how to heal. Breaking down completely, Eleanor asks if he truly understands the source of this illness. Seriously, does he actually know how to save her grandfather? The fragile old patriarch tries to hold himself together as his granddaughter frantically clings to this tiny sliver of hope. She makes a tearful promise, swearing the powerful Ashblade clan will grant Road absolutely anything he wants if he saves him. Road respects the old man as a true hero, knowing that to a veteran necromancer, breaking a basic curse is complete child's play. With total confidence, Road tells them that fixing the old man's condition is actually a pretty easy job. Eleanor and her knight light up with massive relief, asking if he is actually serious. Road nods but explains that completely purging the curse requires him to gather a few highly specific items first. Eleanor literally starts crying happy tears, thrilled that her grandfather can finally be saved. Leon quickly hands Road a noble communication device, promising their house will provide absolutely every single item on his list. The loyal knight promises to come pick him up personally, once the prep work is done. Keeping the connection open, Road takes the artifact and calmly agrees to their arrangement. Walking out of the tomb, Road feels the whole trip was totally worth it. His strength is growing, thanks to summoning his new servant. He smiles, knowing that with a master necromancer supporting him, This spirit will easily return to peak form. But wait, look who is rushing over. His little sister Sif runs up looking incredibly worried. She eagerly asks which famous heroic spirit gave him a blessing, and what rank it is. Rode breaks into a cold sweat. He completely forgot to prepare a fake excuse, and he definitely cannot reveal what he actually got. Just then, Leo walks up with a heavy glare, noting he cannot feel any blessing energy coming off Rode. His older brother lectures him sternly, bringing up the massive fortune their family spent just to secure this rare chance. Disappointed, Leo sighs deeply. He really thought the boy had changed, but he is still the same old useless failure. Rode shrugs it off awkwardly, claiming the heroes just did not like him, though secretly, he knows his new servant is way better than some random blessing. Sif sadly suggests they head home, while Rode silently hopes their mother does not explode. That night, an absolutely ear-splitting scream of pure rage echoes straight through the main hall of the mansion. Dela slams her hand onto the dining table, screaming that a useless trash will always be useless trash, no matter what. Getting screamed at for wasting valuable resources, Rode keeps his mouth shut to avoid making his furious mother even angrier. Dela rants that he simply did not try hard enough, ordering him to pack up and leave for the Magic Academy very soon, so he finally stops embarrassing the family name. She storms off, telling him not to return unless summoned, grumbling that he completely ruined her dinner. Rode actually finds the school punishment pretty hilarious, especially since the academy is packed with rare materials to upgrade his undead summon. As his mother rants about a girl named Claire, Rode remembers her, his former fiancée from his past life who threw away their engagement because of his weakness, only to meet a truly brutal end later. She was always extremely difficult to handle. He realizes his mother is basically sending him to act as Claire's personal errand boy to protect their family connection. But he does not really mind. Claire's mother was always incredibly kind to him back in the day, so he silently vows to save the girl from her tragic destiny this time. 3 days later, Rode finally arrives at the famous Magic Academy of the Seven Cities, situated in the frozen northern region. Built by 7 self-governing cities, this elite school only takes in students from the absolute highest noble lineages. Rode realizes leaving home was the absolute best move. Now, he can train in secret and slowly reclaim his godlike power as the King of Death. Suddenly, a gorgeous girl with black hair catches everyone's eye as she walks through the courtyard, recognized by all as the star of House Flora. The students stare with hearts in their eyes, gossiping about her looks though. Honestly, it is a shame she is already engaged to some other lord. Rode just watches the crowded courtyard from a distance, calmly waiting for the perfect moment to make his move. Claire's assistant points out that Rode was sent to be her companion, and she spots him from across the yard, instantly labeling him a useless slacker. The advisor reminds her it is a family order, and despite their current bankruptcy, Claire reluctantly agrees to keep him around as a lackey, hoping he might ward off some school annoyances. Rode watches Claire's attitude, realizing she has the exact same arrogant streak as before. Suddenly, a familiar, excited voice rings out through the courtyard, calling his name. It is Ella Lanar, who is shocked to find a master swordsman of his caliber attending a school like this. She happily assumes he must be on some top-secret mission, probably investigating noble houses secretively working with demons. Rode quietly begs her not to call him master in public, but she immediately agrees while calling him master again out of pure habit. She asks what she should call him instead, so Rode tells her to just use his real name before asking how her grandfather is doing. Ella Lanar says his condition is stable, and they are almost done gathering every single material he requested for the cure. Claire yells angrily from afar, asking Rode what on earth he's waiting for to follow her. He shouts back that he's coming and quickly jogs over, leaving Ella Lanar completely baffled as she watches from afar. The blue-haired girl stands there bewildered, wondering who this sassy girl is to dare address her master like that. Claire immediately grumbles about his weakness, while other students whisper in shock seeing him so close to the lady. Just then, a pretty arrogant guy named Anderson Rune struts into the courtyard, notorious for hating anyone who gets near Claire. Spotting her right in the middle of the schoolyard, Anderson immediately puts on a fake, cheesy playboy smile. He approaches, falsely asking why she didn't let him know she'd arrived so he could escort her. Rode just watches him, remembering how much Anderson loved to humiliate him in his past life. He's still the exact same idiot. Annoyed by his presence, Claire points her finger and demands he leave her alone. Anderson, wearing a dark, obsessive expression, begs her not to be so cold, bringing up his feelings for her. Completely losing her patience with his annoying advances, she yells with all her might for him to get lost. She snaps that she doesn't care if he's Lord Rune's son, demanding he stay far away from her. Anderson turns absolutely furious at the rejection, muttering under his breath that she's a pretty ungrateful girl. He completely snaps, aggressively reaching out with an open hand to try and grab Claire by force. But watch how fast Rode reacts here, delivering a clean slap to knock the guy's hand away, leaving Anderson completely furious. Humiliated Anderson clutches his sore wrist with deep, burning hatred in his eyes. The troublemaker wonders who on earth dared to cross him, until another student runs over and whispers Rode's identity in his ear. He scoffs in sheer derision, learning this kid is just the failure of House Morris. Enraged that a total loser dared to interfere, Anderson runs up and grabs Rode's shoulder tightly from behind to try and intimidate him. Rode turns around with a spine-chilling glare, releasing a highly terrifying aura of pure, raw danger. Nearby students panic, whispering about Anderson's brutal reputation and saying Rode is totally done for. Showing absolutely zero fear, Rode coldly tells his rival to back off since Claire already told him to step down. Claire watches him in utter confusion, wondering if this notorious slacker is actually risking his own neck to defend her. With a swift, incredibly subtle movement, Rode effortlessly brushes the guy's hand off his shoulder, ending the physical contact. Anderson shakes with absolute rage, demanding to know who he thinks he is, but secretly sensing the heavy danger radiating off him. Under his hood, Rode's glowing blue eyes emit a highly deadly glare that completely freezes his opponent in fear. His henchmen quickly step in to drag him back, warning him that the yard is packed and House Flora's observers are watching. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Anderson backs off grudgingly, muttering that the useless kid just got lucky today. He storms off, but sweats in terror as he realizes that even if the kid is supposedly a lackey, that look sent a cold shiver down his spine. Rode watches calmly as the loud group of bullies finally slinks out of the courtyard. Claire immediately calls him an idiot, complaining that even her own family avoids crossing Lord Rune. She claims he just put her in a tough jam. When Rode points out she wanted him away, she snaps back that he should worry about himself after pissing off Anderson. Right at that moment, a cheerful blonde girl comes running across the schoolyard, loudly calling out Claire's name. Claire's serious face instantly brightens up, and she smiles warmly upon recognizing her best friend, Anna. Anna curiously asks who the guy is, and Claire coldly introduces him as the youngest son of the declining House Morris. Hearing he's that famous, useless young master shocks her, but Claire quickly tells her to keep her voice down. Claire grumbles that her mother forced her to watch over him, saying he does nothing but cause trouble. But Anna just thinks it's hilarious she's got a helper. Rode observes Anna closely, remembering how in his past life she was a greedy gold digger who helped turn Claire into a political pawn, and decides he needs to watch her. Once inside the classroom, and here's where his real plan starts, he knows the school vault holds a legendary item called the Tear of the Dead. He quietly plans to steal this ancient power crystal, knowing it's the key to massively boosting his Bone Crown's strength. Shortly after, the elderly teacher wraps up the boring theory class and dismisses all the students from the room. Anna stretches out happily, celebrating that it's over, and declaring she really wants to find somewhere fun to hang out. She immediately invites Claire out, but her friend acts maturely, reminding her they must study hard to become truly great mages. Anna starts buttering her up, whining that Claire is already insanely talented, and taking a tiny break won't hurt a thing. Anderson suddenly cuts in, fully agreeing with Anna's plan to head out. He invites everyone to a massive private party at the Crystal Tavern to celebrate their first day. It would be his honor. Anna acts shocked by how expensive that place is, but the wealthy heir just laughs it off, while Rode quietly watches them from behind. She instantly pressures Claire to accept, hyping up how generous Anderson is for paying for everything. Then she throws a cheap insult, comparing this rich heir to certain useless freeloaders who bring absolutely nothing to the table. Under massive pressure from her best friend, Claire finally yields and agrees to join the party. Anna cheers happily, pulling her friend toward the door while Rode silently follows them a few steps behind. Just then, Rode's transmitter lights up, and Lion's voice crackles through, confirming the antidote ingredients are completely ready. Rode quietly tells his knight to meet him at the tavern. Soon, crowds of students flood out of the academy gates under the glowing gold of the setting sun. Spotting Rode trailing them across the courtyard, Anna turns back with a sneer, demanding to know who invited him along. Rode completely ignores her, keeping his eyes on Claire as he remembers how she mysteriously vanished for days right after this. But here is the catch: she returned broken last time, so he has to watch her like a hawk. Anna fumes over being totally ignored, while Claire gently tells Rode that class is over and he can go home. Anderson steps in with a fake smile, claiming it is fine and insisting Rode can tag along if he likes. Deep down, the heir is still furious about being humiliated earlier, silently plotting to teach Rode a painful lesson. Anna is completely charmed, showering the young heir with compliments for being so incredibly generous and understanding. She lets him come, but mutters under her breath, whispering that Rode must be totally obsessed with Claire. They finally arrive at the luxurious Crystal Tavern under a fiery, blood-red evening sky. The tavern doors fly open as the young noble enters. Anderson loudly announces that tonight everything is on his tab, sending the entire crowd into a wild, cheering frenzy. Rode scans the room, immediately spotting several rough, dangerous-looking men drinking in the dark corners. He spots a blood-stained sword resting on a table. Rode realizes these guys are a different breed. The entire hall is packed with hardened mercenaries who survive deadly bloodbaths daily. He knows these killers live only for blood, booze, and wild women. And honestly, you just know her stunning looks are what triggered that past tragedy. Alarmed, Rode catches Claire's arm, warning her that it is getting late, and they should head home before her mother panics. Before Claire can speak, Anna aggressively shoves her way in, slapping Rode's hand away with absolute fury. She yells that she is totally sick of him, snapping that stalking them was bad enough, but trying to ruin their party is crossing the line. Claire awkwardly plays along, explaining that she already promised Anna and really cannot back out on her word now. Anderson chimes in with annoyance, warning Rode to stop acting up and just leave by himself if he wants to go. All that shouting draws the attention of the rough mercenaries, who start staring at the kids with mocking grins. One mercenary walks over laughing, mocking these spoiled little nobles for stepping outside their safe, cozy homes. Now they are trying to play tough. The massive brute steps right up, locking his greedy eyes on Claire. With a menacing, malicious grin and glowing red eyes, he notes that they brought along an incredibly gorgeous girl. Anderson explodes with rage, shouting at the tavern manager to explain why these filthy, blood-soaked mercenaries are even allowed inside. The terrifying warrior turns with a murderous glare, asking what that pathetic little brat just said about them. The panicked manager tries to defuse the situation, nervously suggesting the young master come back tomorrow when the hall is empty. But one of Anderson's followers snaps instantly. He complains that backing out would make the heir look bad in front of Claire. In absolute desperation, the manager whispers that these killers are ruthless, out-of-town mercenaries, and fighting them is a terrible idea. Completely fearless, Anderson arrogantly asks if some low-class thugs would actually dare challenge him, the heir to prestigious House Rune. One mercenary slams the table, roaring that they do not care about his name because they run this place today. He orders the kids to get lost. Enraged, Anderson's personal guard charges forward, yelling that nobody around here dares disrespect House Rune. A violent crash echoes through the tavern as a brutal brawl immediately breaks out. Within seconds, Anderson's guard is completely overpowered and ends up getting brutally stomped into the dirt. Anderson stands there frozen, totally speechless. He cannot believe these thugs actually had the guts to attack right in front of him. The mercenary pours a drink over his defeated opponent, mockingly asking if they have some kind of death wish for challenging them. He laughs, saying if they were out in the wild woods, this pampered noble pack would have been dead and gone a long time ago. Watching this mess, Rhodes silently looks on, actually finding the whole situation pretty entertaining. Terrified, Anderson begs them to stop, suggesting a peaceful talk with their captain, warning them not to make an enemy of a powerful lord. The mercenary just roars with laughter, mocking the kid for thinking he has any right to speak with Captain Kent of the Blood Mercenaries. Enter the feared squad leader, Captain Kent. He sits calmly in the dim shadows, nursing a mug of booze with a massive greatsword strapped to his back. Hearing that terrifying name, Anderson goes pale, remembering these heartless killers take out nobles for cash. Kent gives a sinister smirk, instantly recognizing Lord Rune's youngest son, and coldly warning that his worthless, arrogant life means nothing here. The other tagging along nobles collapse to the dirty floor, trembling in absolute horror as they realize what kind of monsters they just crossed. Grabbing Claire by the shoulders, Anna cries out that they are completely finished for messing with the wrong crew. The mercenaries burst into laughter, mocking the young nobles for their pathetic cowardice. They just love watching them panic from hearing their group name. Anderson starts sweating bullets, knowing he cannot make a fool of himself right here in front of Claire, terrified of ruining his name forever. Swallowing his massive pride, he bows low, apologizing and begging to settle this peacefully out of respect for House Rune. Kent just smirks. He says Lord Rune actually has quite a reputation lately, so he might even be willing to do them a favor. Hearing this, Anderson's friends let out a huge sigh of relief, praising him for saving them from such terrifying danger. But then, Kent instantly switches up his tone, demanding the two ladies dance and drink with his men to buy their freedom. It gets even worse. Kent demands that Anderson himself extend the dance invitation to the girls, using all the weight of his high and mighty family name. The rest of the gang cheers and laughs, completely thrilled by the rare chance to watch highborn ladies perform just for them. Claire looks absolutely disgusted, clutching her chest. While Rode keeps his face completely blank and calm, Anderson timidly tries to step in, telling Captain Kent this is crossing a line, reminding him Claire is the heiress of House Flora. A grunt tells Anderson to shut his mouth, asking if he is seriously trying to throw his noble weight around over a simple dance. Completely desperate, the other guys drop to their knees, begging Claire to just go along with it so they do not anger the squad. Claire immediately orders Rode to get Anna out of here right now. She proudly claims the mercenaries would never dare lay a hand on House Flora, but Rode calmly gestures to her that there is no need to go that far, leaving Claire utterly confused. Our main character steps forward, telling Captain Kent directly to wrap up this annoying circus right now. Watch this. Kent looks at him with utter disgust. He barks out, asking who on earth this kid thinks he is to give him orders. Anna screams in a panic, asking if Rode has completely lost his mind since Anderson already fixed things, accusing him of dragging them down. A massive, bald mercenary steps forward, grumbling that he cannot believe some clueless kid is trying to ruin their fun. This is Rum, the vice captain, who tells the boys to watch as he thrashes the kid before they enjoy the ladies' dance. Packing insane speed and brute power, the giant leaps straight toward Rode to deliver a crushing blow to our young main character. Claire panics as she watches the brutal strike, screaming Rode's name in sheer desperation, genuinely fearing for her childhood friend's life. But Rum is shocked. The kid does not even flinch, keeping a cold glare that glows with blue fire. Absolutely furious at being stared down, the vice captain roars that this cocky brat is dead meat. He gears up a devastating ultimate move, unleashing a massive, destructive wave of roaring fire directly at our main character. Tears streaming down her face, Claire screams his name once more while looking away. She is utterly horrified by the explosive impact, while Anderson screams they are all dead if these thugs get angrier. But his buddy says to let the idiot die alone. A massive metallic clash echoes throughout the entire Crystal Tavern Hall the exact second the attacks smash together. The other mercenaries stand completely shell-shocked. They watch as a random kid easily evades Rum's powerful flaming sword strike with perfect, effortless composure. Rode casually snatches a sword from a terrified mercenary nearby. Politely, he asks if he can borrow it. Rum flies into a complete rage at being ignored. He charges forward, swinging his deadly blade with all of his strength. Rode calmly tracks the incoming slash, letting Bone Crown know in his mind that he finally has a real blade. The towering spirit of Bone Crown materializes right behind Rode, who channels his dark energy into a massive counterstrike. A massive wave of mystic blue fire explodes outward, flooding the tavern with an overwhelming surge. It completely overpowers the enemy fire. The violent clash of blades sends a massive shower of bright sparks across the entire tavern hall. Rum's eyes widen in absolute panic as he senses the massive gap between himself and this mysterious gray-haired kid. With a sharp metallic ring, the vice captain's heavy steel sword shatters into tiny pieces under the unbelievable force of Rode's strike. Rum stares at his broken hilt in disbelief. How did a kid that age manage to destroy his weapon? Burning with humiliation, the vice captain mentally curses Rode for making him look like a fool in front of his crew. Rum lunges forward with bare fists, screaming that mercenaries are the unrivaled experts in hand-to-hand combat. He throws a deadly punch straight at the boy's head, intending to end his life that very instant. Rode easily slips the punch, realizing he still lacks the raw physical strength needed to clash head-on with elite warriors. And look at this, a terrifying skeletal phantom with burning red eyes starts forming inside the dense mana fog. The panicked vice captain tries to scramble backward, but freezes as a massive skeletal hand wraps around his throat in a suffocating grip. Activating his blue fire technique, Rode lets loose a roaring inferno to swallow his trapped opponent whole. A massive pillar of azure flame erupts from below, blasting the giant vice captain high into the air. The giant slams back down onto the wooden floor. Everything in his path is instantly demolished. Rum lies unconscious and bleeding, his eyes rolled back after taking that devastating blast of magical energy. Anderson stands frozen. The family failure just destroyed the feared vice captain of the mercenaries all on his own. Sensing the danger, Captain Kent slowly stands up as the remaining mercenaries draw their weapons with bloodthirsty smiles. Kent gives a chilly warning. Anyone who touches his squad gets sliced up piece by piece and fed to wild beasts right before their eyes. The other nobles panic instantly, complaining that Rode's quick victory only served to thoroughly anger this squad of ruthless killers. These cowards suggest using Rode as a distraction, leaving him to take the blame while they escape. After all, this whole mess is his fault. Anna aggressively yanks Claire by the arm, urging her to escape before it is too late. She scolds her friend for wasting her breath on a stubborn boy who chose to stay. Rode watches Claire get dragged toward the exit, feeling relieved that without her watching, his real moves will be much easier to pull off. Kent wears a sadistic grin, promising he won't kill him just yet. He will make him suffer all night and demand a massive ransom from House Morris. Rode glares coldly, planning to wipe out every single mercenary in this tavern. He figures Captain Kent would make a pretty decent undead servant. But just as he wonders what the captain is worth, heavy steps echo and you just know things are about to get crazy. Stunned by the sudden interruption, Kent whips around in a fury, barking to know what idiot just walked in to find his death. Striding inside is Knight Leon, walking through the tavern with complete elegance and absolute authority. Kent freezes in absolute terror, instantly recognizing the legendary warrior and stammering to ask what Lord Leon is doing here. Completely ignoring the captain, Leon approaches Rode with deep respect. He asks if these bugs manage to hurt him, then softly chuckles. He notes that it is actually impossible for them to touch him, reminding everyone that even he would not survive a strike from Rode. Kent is left completely baffled and horrified, wondering why the legendary Lord Leon is treating a mere kid with such deep respect, even calling him master. Leon turns with furious eyes, demanding to know who gave him permission to threaten an honored guest of House Ashblade. Kent realizes his life is over. House Ashblade rules the North with an iron fist, and one wrong move will erase his entire squad. Instantly, the captain drops straight to his knees right before Rode, begging for his life and desperately pleading for forgiveness for his foolish blindness. The other mercenaries stand completely frozen. They can't believe their proud captain is on his knees, begging a mere kid for mercy. Kent holds out the official medallion of the Blood Mercenaries as a peace offering. He begs Master Rode to accept his apology, swearing absolute loyalty from this day forward. He promises his entire band of sellswords will be completely under Rode's absolute command. Rode knows having the Bone Crown as a living, loyal mercenary squad is extremely useful. The main character scoops up the medallion and decides to spare their lives for now. He's only doing this because of Lion's timely intervention, but even though he's sparing them, Rode coldly decides that the captain still needs a brutal lesson. A freezing, unnatural wind suddenly sweeps through the entire tavern, and you can feel the tension skyrocket right here. Kent literally freezes as silent blue flames dance around him in Rode's terrifying presence. A terrifying bone spirit rises from the shadows, slashing the captain's very soul with its sharp claws and instantly breaking his mind. Kent howls in pure agony as an invisible force drains his life force, leaving him completely paralyzed and collapsing onto the dirty floor. Rode signals Leon that it's time to go, completely ignoring Kent's pathetic whimpering as the captain continues begging for his life. One of his mercenaries scrambles over to help Kent. He quickly tells his captain that the creepy kid and the knight have finally left. Still shivering and completely drained, Kent gasps that they are incredibly lucky they didn't push that kid any further. Otherwise, their entire mercenary band would have been slaughtered today. Leon leads the young master to a waiting carriage, mentioning that Lord Igna Ashblade is eagerly expecting him at the family mansion. Soon, they arrive at the massive, imposing estate of the wealthy Ashblade family atop the city hill. Stepping into the mansion's luxurious quarters, Rode is greeted. Rode finds Eleanor and her grandfather Igna waiting patiently for the healing treatment to finally begin. Eleanor breaks into a beautiful, relieved smile upon seeing the young master walk in. She's absolutely thrilled that the master has finally arrived to save them. Presenting a silver tray piled with rare magical ingredients, she asks if this will be enough for the ritual. Eleanor mentions these items are incredibly rare in the kingdom, requiring quite a massive effort from her family to track down. Rode answers coldly that it is indeed enough. He extends his hand, unleashing his vibrant blue mana directly over the ingredients. Sitting in his armchair, the elderly Igna begins sweating nervously as he watches the mysterious blue flames erupt from the ingredients. With a deeply serious, focused look, Rode firmly commands everyone in the room to back away so he can begin. Rode's eyes narrow with intense focus as raw, spiritual energy begins swirling wildly around his young body. Look at that. A hideous purple spectral skull with glowing red eyes suddenly erupts from Igna's body, exposing the terrible curse. Showing absolutely zero hesitation, Rode thrusts his hand forward, wrapping it in blue flames to seize the escaping entity. Unleashing his advanced necromancy, the young master binds the spectral beast with chains of pure spiritual energy, completely freezing it. Glaring with cold, absolute determination, the young master tells the wicked demon that it has nowhere left to run. The spectral skull screeches in pure agony as Rode's flawless, precise control ruthlessly crushes the dark entity. Eleanor watches the scene in absolute shock, realizing this grotesque monster was the exact demon that tortured her grandfather for 10 long years. Nearby, Leon breaks into a cold sweat. He stares in awe at Rhodes' insane power, feeling deeply ashamed for ever being foolish enough to challenge him. Noticing the demon's desperate struggles, Rhodes casually asks if the pathetic creature actually thinks it has a chance of escaping. Rhodes clenches his fist with immense force, forcing the mana to compress violently until the spectral monster's entire structure completely shatters. He easily manipulates the scattered essences of the beast, carefully compressing them into a bright, glowing sphere of pure, raw energy. With a firm command, he seals that entire concentrated force straight into the precious blue gemstone on the tray. Rhodes silently celebrates refining a death stone in this new lifetime, already planning to use its massive power to upgrade his bone crown. Leon is completely blown away. The demon that tortured their patriarch for over a decade was extracted with such effortless ease by Rhodes. Eleanor rushes over to her grandfather, asking him with deep worry how he is feeling now that the ritual is over. But in a deeply serious tone, Rhodes tells her to back away from the elder, leaving the young Ares quite startled and confused. Suddenly, Igna's eyes snap wide open, and he releases a blood-curdling scream, unleashing a massive, violent shockwave of built-up energy throughout the entire room. Eleanor stumbles back, completely shocked by her grandfather's sudden roar, desperately wondering what is happening to his body right now. Rhodes calmly explains that the monster was leeching the elder's vital energy, but with that beast gone, his peak strength is finally returning. And just like that, the powerful patriarch rises. He is cloaked in an intense golden light, signaling his glorious return. Igna stares at his hands in disbelief, realizing he did not just recover his strength, he actually hit peak intermediate archmage level. Suddenly, he breaks into a laugh of pure ecstasy. He admits he never expected to have a shot at becoming an advanced archmage at his age. Watching this, Leon gets pretty emotional. Rivals kept House Ashblade down because of the curse, but their luck has finally changed. The knight stares at the young master's back, deeply grateful that all of this only happened because of Master Rhodes' incredible help. Eleanor rushes over to her grandfather, completely baffled by this insane transformation. You can't blame her for asking what is actually happening right now. Rhodes explains that the curse basically trained the elder's body for 10 years, and Igna's tough build triggered this massive breakthrough. Eleanor is stunned by the logic, asking if her grandfather really just turned a horrible curse into an absolute blessing. Igna happily pats his granddaughter's head, confirming Rhodes destroyed the cursed parasite, leaving him just one step away from the advanced tier. Looking completely determined, the patriarch declares that from this moment on, House Ashblade will reclaim everything they lost. He offers Rhodes his deepest thanks, swearing his family will never forget this debt and promising to follow his every command without question. Rhodes calmly replies that is not necessary since he already got what he came for, but he does have one crucial question. Showing complete respect, the elder immediately tells Master Rhodes to ask him absolutely anything without holding back. Rhodes asks where the elder got cursed, knowing that finding that exact spot means he will never have to hunt for Deathstones again. Igna explains it happened 10 years ago in the Valley of Lamentations, when he fell into a demonic trap during an imperial crusade. Knowing the Valley of Lamentations is crawling with high-level beasts, Rhodes decides to shelve those plans until he is actually strong enough to survive there. Later, we cut to a royal carriage traveling down the road, as Leon politely calls out to Rhodes from inside. The knight mentions that the new residence Rhodes wanted is fully built and sits right next to the Magic Academy of the Seven Cities. Rhodes calmly steps down from the carriage to finally check out his brand new base of operations in this territory. Just look at this, a massive, incredibly luxurious estate, featuring stunning architecture fit for top-tier royalty. Rhodes feels pretty awkward, muttering that he only asked for a simple place to sleep, not some giant, over-the-top palace. Meanwhile, back at the castle, the sound of old Igna's hearty laughter echoes joyfully down the long corridors of the Ashblade estate. Eleanor smiles, saying her grandfather has not stopped laughing since Master Rhodes left hours ago. The old patriarch just chuckles apologetically, telling her that Rhodes is easily the most powerful, mysterious person he has ever seen, advising Eleanor to get close to him. Eleanor blushes quite a bit at her grandfather's words, whispering quietly that she already knows exactly what she has to do. Igna suddenly turns dead serious, declaring it is time to settle scores with Rustblade, whom he suspects of orchestrating the curse. Elsewhere, night falls over the incredibly massive and imposing luxury estate belonging to the wealthy house Flora. The moment Claire steps into her lavish home, her mother corners her, sternly demanding to know why she is back so late. She asks outright if she met up with that boy from House Morris, wanting to know if they hit it off. Claire looks away, acting pretty flustered as she quietly mutters to her mother that they did end up meeting. Her mother warns her not to treat him like garbage, like everyone else does, and Claire quickly reassures her, promising she will genuinely try to get along with him from now on. Claire looks around, thinking to herself that maybe Rode is not the useless, trash-tier kid everyone thinks he is. Over at his massive new room near the academy, Rode quietly prepares in the dead of night for his upcoming ritual. Gripping the glowing deathstone firmly in his hands, the young necromancer decides it is finally time to upgrade his technique. With absolute resolve, Rode calls out his loyal spirit servant, Bone Crown, by name, who immediately answers the summon. The mighty spectral knight materializes amidst eerie blue flames, kneeling before his master with absolute loyalty. Rode knows his Bone Crown has decayed over time, but with his flawless swordplay, he can stand his ground against anyone below an advanced archmage. Rode raises the glowing blue magic gem high. He starts transferring spiritual energy straight to his loyal warrior. With real authority, Rode orders his spectral servant to absorb the rich energy. His mystic evolution is finally starting. The bright blue gem suddenly shatters in mid-air. An overwhelming storm of tiny, pure energy fragments is instantly unleashed. Spiritual power drifts all around the hall. Gorgeous, glowing spirals of light completely wrap around the two of them. A terrifying dark silhouette with glowing eyes emerges from the mist. It hungrily devours every drop of drifting energy. A sharp crackle of blue static echoes. Their soul fusion is flawlessly complete, absorbing all that ancient power. Rode stands tall in the center of the hall. He is wrapped in a violent aura of light blue electricity. To his complete surprise, Rode realizes something. His servant's massive evolution is actually channeling excess energy back into him. Watch now, a breakthrough is happening. Staring at his hands covered in blue flames, Rode excitedly celebrates reaching the peak level of an apprentice archmage. Rode notes with satisfaction how much his warrior has evolved, but he knows he must still act with extreme caution and keep a quiet, low profile in public. By the next morning, normal school life resumes at the Academy of the Seven Cities as students fill the corridors. Noticing how distracted her best friend is, Anna asks Claire what she is looking for so intently in the crowd. Claire mentions worriedly that Rode hasn't shown up, but Anna just scoffs, muttering that the mercenaries probably fed him to beasts. Claire snaps at her with purple glowing eyes, reminding her that Rode actually risked his life to protect them both. Anna quickly tries to calm her down, insisting she is just being realistic about those feared, dangerous blood mercenaries. Anderson storms down the stairs, incredibly bitter that Rode stole all his spotlight, while his standard lackey mutters that the kid brought this on himself. But look at his face. Anderson nearly jumps out of his skin as Rode casually strolls past him up the stairs. The noble instantly panics, seeing him completely unharmed when he should be broken or severely mutilated after last night. Claire rushes over to Rode in pure relief, mentioning her mother was incredibly worried, but he just smiles and says those mercenaries are handled. Anderson and Anna just stand there, completely stunned, wondering what on earth happened at that tavern after they ran away. Anna snidely guesses that House Morris must have paid a massive ransom, and a bitter Anderson completely agrees, claiming that the useless slacker only brings shame to his family. Just then, the sharp click of firm high heels echoes through the hallway, immediately turning the heads of every single student nearby. Introducing herself as Margaret, the practical magic instructor announces that today's class will be a live combat training session inside the deadly monster forest. Rode immediately recalls that the forest is the blood mercenary's main turf, meaning he must stay fully alert to protect Claire. Very secretly, Rode pulls out his magic communication device to quickly establish contact with his most trusted subordinates. Sneaking away from the noisy crowd, Rode activates the device, calling Captain Kent directly to gather some vital intelligence. Kent picks up immediately with profound respect, telling his master that he is completely at his service and ready to share everything. Rode asks for detailed intel on the dangerous monster forest, pointing out his squad constantly operates there and should know every single layout detail inside and out. Kent explains that an ancient tomb deep inside has started leaking dark energy, driving wild beasts insane and spawning a horde. He warns that almost nobody survives a deep investigation, cautioning that the tomb's perimeter is highly lethal and strictly off-limits. While common beasts are no match for Rode, Kent helpfully offers to have his best men guide him through the woods. Coldly, the young master flatly declines the offer, stating that this information is already plenty for his current plans. While the woods are lethal for normal students, to a necromancer, that tomb is a massive, goldmine opportunity. The elite academy students quietly begin boarding the wooden carriages, preparing for their long journey to the deep training grounds. Sitting atop the carriage, Anna points excitedly at the beautiful scenic view while Claire just watches her friend with a warm, gentle smile. In a different cabin, Anderson's loyal lackey whispers quietly, asking if they are still going to target Rode as they planned. Anderson snaps that his main target is Claire, but warns that if the boy interferes again, he will pay a very painful price. The group finally reaches the outer edge of the monster forest, stepping off the vehicles into a wide clearing before the dark trees. Margaret delivers a brief speech praising their talent, telling them that after endless theory, it is finally time to put their strength to a real test. She explains the Shadowclaw wolf population recently spiked, ordering everyone to bring back a single wolf claw as proof before nightfall. Suddenly, a fiery flash erupts from the dense woods, and a massive explosion violently shatters the quiet clearing. A giant fireball totally obliterates a target, making the students cheer excitedly at Anderson's pretty impressive magic skills. Holding bright flames in his palms, Anderson smiles smugly, thinking this is his perfect chance to show off his combat magic to Claire. Anna is completely amazed by the display, begging Claire for them to join his group to stay safe. But Claire hesitates. Why? Because she remembers not even those tough mercenaries could beat Rode. Away from the noise, Rode closes his eyes in the wind, stretching his magical perception to map the entire area. Our main character smiles, realizing that after reaching peak Archmage Apprentice, his range expanded to 300 meters, letting him feel poisonous gators and strange death fluctuations deep in the forest matching Kent's report. Determined to keep the young lady safe, Rode simply walks over to Claire, calmly suggesting they team up as a hunting pair. Claire beams with a bright, happy smile at his invitation, immediately agreeing to the partnership without a single second thought. Anderson arrogantly lifts up a defeated wolf's body. Surrounded by cheering, flattering followers, and sporting a super smug smile, the wealthy heir boasts that such a weak creature is nothing. Hearing this, Anna grabs Claire's arm and runs toward the noble, insisting his incredible strength means they must join the rich kid's squad right now. Waving happily from a distance, Anna yells directly to the guy, asking if she and Claire can join his hunting squad today. Anderson wears a massive, satisfied grin, quickly agreeing and promising he will personally protect both of the young ladies during the hunt. Suddenly, a quiet rustle of leaves echoes behind a bush where a striped beast was resting peacefully on a mystic rock. The beast snaps its eyes open, consumed by a strange, evil purple energy of pure rage as it prepares to launch a lethal strike. It reveals itself as a massive, terrifying black beast with glowing eyes, wrapped in a scary aura of destruction. Feel that scary shift in the air? Rode looks back suspiciously, focusing his attention on the monster's bizarre behavior. Becoming suspicious, Instructor Margaret senses a terrifying monster lord nearby, realizing that Rode has also spotted the grave danger. She quickly orders Rode to watch the other students while she charges deep into the forest to hunt down this dangerous alpha beast. Anderson scoffs in annoyance at the teacher's orders, questioning why an apparent slacker like Rode should protect him when he just killed a wolf himself. Rode ignores his whining, realizing the death aura is driving the local beasts crazy, creating a threat these rich kids cannot handle. Completely blind to the threat, Anderson keeps bragging to the class, promising to gather claws for everyone as the students applaud. The class continues walking cautiously through the quiet monster forest under a canopy of dark, heavy trees. Anderson finds this sudden silence pretty weird, wondering where all those wolves from earlier went. Suddenly, a fierce wolf leaps out, and Anderson arrogantly cheers, telling Rode to watch his epic bravery. The young noble channels energy into his palms, hurling a powerful fireball straight at the attacking beast as it charges. The huge fireball hits the monster square in the face, causing a blinding flash and a bright explosion. But to his absolute horror, the beast emerges from the smoke completely unharmed, showing no signs of pain or injury at all. Moving with terrifying speed, the wolf makes a violent leap, brushing right past the terrified noble, completely ignoring his pathetic strike. Sweating cold, he screams in desperation, unable to understand why his usually deadly fire magic failed so miserably. The enraged wolf opens its sharp jaws, letting out a terrifying roar as its eyes glow with evil red energy. While Anderson cowers in fear, Rode silently appears in the background, unleashing his own roaring inferno. The beast's eyes reflect the glare of intense blue flames suddenly filling the air, completely wiping out the monster's rage. Anderson stands there with his jaw on the floor, watching Rode wield those mystic blue flames. He cannot believe his rival is this insanely powerful. The monster crashes down lifeless onto the forest dirt. Its smoking body is still radiating faint traces of Rode's chilling spiritual energy. Claire is absolutely speechless, seeing Rode end the fight with just a single strike. This is the same beast Anderson could not even scratch. Sweating in pure terror, Anna finally realizes Rode survived those deadly mercenaries entirely on his own raw strength. Anna cannot accept that this slacker holds so much power. Realizing there are way too many beasts around to fight one by one, Rode decides it is time to bring out his giant earth splitter. Rode dashes off alone straight into the deadlier parts of the forest while Claire screams out, begging him to come back right now. Pushing deep into the thick trees, Rode is instantly surrounded by dozens of snarling wolves locking onto him with pure killer instinct. Showing absolutely zero fear against the vicious pack, Rode calmly commands his massive skeletal summon to rise. Watch this. The ground violently shakes as the massive earth splitter emerges, shattering the forest floor and destroying everything in sight. Standing high atop the massive beast, Rode orders his towering servant to wipe out every single wolf infected by the dark mana in this area. The giant earth splitter opens its massive jaws, unleashing a deafening roar of pure destruction fueled by blue flames. With a thunderous crash, the skeletal giant slams its heavy bone claws down, sending the whole pack flying. From afar, Anderson feels the shockwave. He falls into a panic, begging that this terrifying monster stays far away. While Claire is deeply worried for Rode's safety, Anna just scoffs, claiming the useless slacker got eaten alive. Trembling, Anna begs Anderson to protect them, making the proud young noble break into a cold sweat, hesitantly nodding along while desperately trying to hide his terror. The colossal earth splitter continues its relentless hunt through the dense woods, easily trampling wolves under its master's commands as the giant bone summon stands tall amid swirling blue fog. With every single threat in the immediate area easily cleared away, Rode notices a few normal wolves free from the dark fog, so he calmly orders his giant summon to let them escape. The towering bone monster freezes in place, letting the terrified animals scramble past and flee toward the safer parts of the woods. Suddenly, a loud rustling in the nearby bushes shatters the eerie silence of the deep forest. Elsewhere, Anna grabs her head in pure panic, screaming out to ask if that giant monster is actually headed right for them. Seeing that it is only normal wolves running for their lives rather than the giant beast, she sighs in massive relief, celebrating dodging the absolute worst. Anderson instantly regains his confidence, heroically promising he will protect Claire and Anna from these regular wolves. Meanwhile, deep in the heart of the foggy, mystical woods, Instructor Margaret concentrates a massive amount of magic power into her staff. With a sharp focus and golden eyes, she locks onto the giant beast, prepping her ultimate strike. Unleashing her signature celestial fire spell, she shoots a colossal pillar of burning light and intense heat straight up into the sky. Margaret smiles, believing her spell succeeded, as she watches the mighty monster lord end up completely charred, crumbling into black ashes on the dirt. But she quickly senses traces of dark mana lingering inside its corpse, raising major warning signs that something is going terribly wrong. Suddenly, her eyes widen in absolute shock as a new, overwhelming spiritual pressure begins to loom over the entire forest. Suddenly, the rhythmic sound of approaching hooves echoes. Look at that, a bizarre rider cloaked in glowing blue fire is slowly approaching. The spectral horse leaves glowing blue tracks on the damp mud, confirming a legendary threat has finally decided to show its face. None other than the legendary undead knight. He towers over the area on his skeletal steed, the true origin of this corrupting dark fog. Margaret realizes in utter shock that this spectral knight has risen straight from an ancient tomb hidden deep in the forest. She notes his power is absurd, possessing an intermediate archmage aura that is driving all the local beasts completely insane. Though completely outmatched, she knows that if she runs away, all of her students are going to die. She will risk everything to end this monster right here. Without a second thought, she drains her remaining mana, condensing a massive ball of scorching heat right at the tip of her staff. With a final, determined cry, the instructor unleashes her absolute ultimate spell, the Supreme Celestial Fire Meteor. A massive pillar of destructive flame rains down from the heavens like a meteor, tearing through the sky and lighting up the dark woods. The devastating, scorching attack hits the undead knight dead on, triggering a massive explosion that completely engulfs the entire area. A massive explosion of deep red fire completely swallows the enemy, lighting up the dark forest with terrifying power. Panting and exhausted from her magic efforts, Margaret manages a weak, hopeful smile, wondering if she actually finished off the monster. Suddenly, the undead knight emerges completely unscathed from the flames, launching a lightning-fast, brutal slash that sends the teacher flying. Watching from the shadows, Rode tracks the spectral knight as his injured instructor slams hard onto the damp forest floor. Rode praises his earth splitter summon for doing a great job, quietly ordering the giant bone monster to withdraw. Right after, Rode suddenly detects a massive surge of dark mana, locking his gaze on the terrifying spiritual energy bleeding from the enemy. And this is where things get serious. guys staring into those blue flames. Road knows the real fight is starting. The monster points its spear, and Road instantly recognizes this as an elite dark fog warrior. Exuding massive dark pressure, Road warns the knight that the dead have one king and he must kneel. Paying no attention to the threat, the knight rides forward, launching his heavy spear right at the boy. Shrouded in blue aura, the ghostly knight executes a flurry of lethal attacks. Loud metallic clangs echo through the clearing as Road elegantly steps away, dodging each of those brutal thrusts with perfect timing. The pure violence of their clash sends a massive shockwave ripping through the forest, tearing deep cracks into the dirt and scattering broken branches in every direction. Road measures his opponent, noting that the dark power surrounding this knight is incredibly thick for his own current level. Anderson and the girls watch in horror as a massive, dark, magical vortex rises high into the sky. Claire covers her mouth, shaking in pure terror at the overwhelming darkness that simply won't stop. Anderson points a shaking finger, warning that is where Road ran off to all alone. Meanwhile, Professor Margaret lies badly hurt, helplessly watching this terrifying magic duel unfold before her. Sorely wounded and gasping, her eyes widen in absolute shock as she witnesses the scale of Road's hidden power. Fighting the pain, Margaret struggles to stand because her students are out there, and she must halt that monster at all costs. In the ruined clearing, Road stands perfectly calm before the undead knight and his spectral steed. He realizes the dark fog stole the knight's sanity, leaving only a basic instinct to hunt. Looking down with pure contempt, the young master calls him pathetic and coldly vows to end his suffering. The enraged knight immediately pulls back his heavy spear, preparing to launch another devastating strike right at the boy. Shaking within the blue mist, the creature struggles to speak. Sensing Road's overwhelming regal spiritual aura, the warrior roars that he will absolutely never submit to a mere mortal. He instantly triggers his ultimate physical charge skill. Charging with insane velocity, the knight kicks up a violent storm of dust, aiming directly for Road's chest. Meanwhile, the boy casually raises his hand, fingers burning with blue fire. Knowing his physical body can't block that kind of heavy impact directly, he cast his memory echo spell instead, forcing a deep, vivid illusion straight into the knight's decaying mind. You'll love how Road handles this, flashing a dark grin. He tells the monster to enjoy this custom nightmare. Instantly, the knight is pulled into a chaotic, ruined battlefield from his past, surrounded by mounds of rotting soldiers. Through the thick mental haze, he looks down at his blood-soaked hands as his comrades fall around him. Haunted by old trauma, he relives the brutal combat, surrounded by endless ghosts of the men he couldn't save. Driven absolutely insane by the sheer torment of Road's spell, the undead knight screams in agony as massive, glowing blue eyes peer down from the illusory dark sky. Our main character silently warns that this illusion will become his final grave. He figures this high-level opponent is the absolute perfect test subject to try out his Bone Crown's power. Smiling, he happily calls this their official first real battlefield. Summoning his loyal servant back at full power, he commands him with unwavering dark authority. The loyal warrior vows to utterly destroy the enemy with absolutely no mercy. Driven completely insane by the mental spell, the undead knight morphs into a relentless killing machine, charging forward and screaming that he will kill everyone. Showing zero hesitation, Bone Crown unleashes a massive, sweeping slash with his gigantic sword, which is completely wrapped in glowing blue flames. The weapons of these two powerful warriors slam together with terrifying force, triggering a massive spiritual energy explosion right in the center of the clearing. Sharp wind blades rip violently through the air, completely shattering massive tree trunks and heavy rocks all around their earth-shattering clash. A colossal crash echoes through the monster forest as dark power and spiritual energy collide in a direct, brutal struggle for dominance. The two knights lock into a high-speed duel, exchanging dozens of lightning-fast, precise strikes that light up the dark clearing. Deep cracks rip through the forest floor, carved out by the sharp energy shockwaves released with every single violent sword impact. Relying on his flawless mystic sword technique, Bone Crown masterfully dodges and blocks each of his opponent's brutal spear thrusts. Watch this. Violent metallic ring of clashing steel generates a massive shower of glowing mana sparks that scatter quickly into the chilly air. Focusing every ounce of his spiritual energy directly into his blade, Road's loyal servant prepares to unleash his ultimate final strike. Bringing down a relentless downward slash, Bone Crown cuts through his opponent's armor with surgical precision, completely shattering his defense. With his heavy iron spear snapped clean in half by the blow, the underworld warrior mutters, deeply impressed by his opponent's devastating power. Still, the undead knight roars in blind fury, trying desperately to steady his mount while absolutely refusing to accept his defeat. Gripping the broken remains of his weapon, The spectral warrior fires off one last desperate strike of pure hatred, charging blindly at Bone Crown. Bone Crown executes a flawless motion with his massive sword, unleashing a terrifying torrent of cutting wind in a relentless counterattack. This wave of black and blue spiritual energy slices through the forest air with devastating precision, completely overpowering his opponent's desperate charge. Wearing an expression that is completely stone-cold beneath his dark helm, the loyal servant prepares to deliver the final mercy blow. Activating his Paleblade Veil technique, he manipulates the bluish flames around his body, creating a rapid whirlwind of deadly slashes. A colossal explosion of blue and purple spiritual flames completely swallows the undead knight, sealing the dark warrior's fate once and for all. His lifeless body drops from his skeletal mount, disintegrating quickly under the pressure of Road's spiritual power. Road silently watches the ashes scatter, noting that the heavy dark energy fluctuation has finally vanished completely from the forest clearing. Bone Crown slide-sheathes his giant sword, walking calmly back to his master after successfully wrapping up his very first major battle. The Phantom Warrior approaches with deep respect, kneeling before his master to present the final results of the battle. Having masterfully unleashed his legendary soul, stagnating piercing technique, he secured an absolute, crushing victory over the dark opponent. A massive stream of blue spiritual energy rises toward the clear sky, finally freeing the warrior's soul from its ancient, dark slavery. In his silent thoughts, the loyal servant proudly reflects on how his incredible lord has finally granted true death to their opponent. The skeletal horse and empty iron armor crash heavily onto the forest floor, completely crumbling into glowing blue dust. Road watches in silence as the last traces of energy float up, clearing the forest's heavy, suffocating atmosphere. Kneeling proudly, the loyal servant reports that the terrifying Shadow Knight has been put down for good. Road walks with perfect composure across the ruined ground, calmly praising his powerful servant for a highly impressive performance in battle. Easily picking up a small, glowing blue flame fragment left behind by the fallen enemy, Road prepares to purify it. Road quietly laments the lost soul's long suffering, using his necromancy to dissolve the fragment while wishing it eternal peace. Leaning heavily on her battle staff, Instructor Margaret struggles through the dense woods, desperately searching for any surviving students. Panting and badly hurt, the exhausted teacher tells herself she must stop this threat immediately to keep her beloved students safe from further danger. Reaching the ruined clearing, Margaret's eyes widen in absolute disbelief at the shocking scene before her. She spots young Master Road standing right in the center of a massive crater of destruction, completely alone in the morning light. Standing there completely baffled, she recognizes the boy, wondering what the heir of House Morris could possibly be doing out here all alone. Realizing the Phantom Knight's oppressive aura completely vanished in this exact spot, and honestly, who can blame her for wondering if this kid actually pulled it off? Road turns around with total composure, telling her in a gentle, relieved tone that he is incredibly happy to see his teacher safe and sound. Margaret approaches him with deep suspicion, demanding to know if he saw the terrifying, dark mana-fueled headless knight roaming around the forest. Lying easily with his back turned, Road claims he never saw any beast, leaving the instructor pretty confused about the giant crater. Road claims the clearing was already completely trashed when he got there while following those Shadowclaw wolves. Even with his denial, she felt no other massive power. He is hiding something. Margaret decides to play along for now, but insists on thanking him on behalf of all the students. Road calmly brushes it off, maturely advising her not to return to the group injured to avoid causing panic. With a quiet look, Margaret glances at herself. She knows the boy is absolutely right. Raising her hands, she channels incredibly bright golden healing magic. Within seconds, her wounds close up and her shredded clothes are mended. She is fully healed. The instructor turns back to speak with him and gets completely caught off guard. And just like that, he vanishes without a trace, leaving her totally baffled and us wondering where he is heading next. Sneaking through the shadow-filled woods, Road tracks the faint traces of dark mana to locate that ancient tomb. Deeper he goes. He is quite impressed by how much thicker and heavier the dark mana fog actually gets. Finally, the young necromancer finds the cave entrance. That is where the undead knight crawled out from. Inside the dark ruins, a massive vortex of purple and black fire floats right in front of him. Showing zero hesitation, Road steps right into the chamber, which is surrounded by purple flames clinging to the ancient stone walls. The main character lets out a pretty satisfied smirk, realizing he has finally found his true target in this forest. Before him lies a massive, glowing blue magic circle etched into the solid stone floor. This confirms all his suspicions. Extending his hand, Road guides his own spiritual energy at lightning speed, directly disrupting the seal's magic flow. Speaking with cold, absolute authority, The young necromancer commands the foreign magic inside the seal to be cleared out immediately. A sharp crackle of energy echoes as Road grabs absolute control over the entire formation. He looks closer at the dark mana stones surrounding it. Someone clearly set up this artificial spell to wake that night on purpose. This messy ritual is what threw the forest out of whack. There is definitely a dark conspiracy brewing in the shadows. Grabbing a magic gem from the ground, Road scoffs at the pathetic magic. This is an insult to real necromancy. He pockets the dark mana stones, knowing these little things will definitely come in handy down the line. From a distance, Margaret watches her class, relieved that everyone is safe and that the undead monster did not find them. Approaching the group, she asks if they have finished their trials, telling them they will depart for the academy once everyone gathers. Claire anxiously points out that Road is still missing, mentioning that a terrifying whirlwind of mana erupted right after he went in. Margaret asks if that crazy vortex really showed up right after Road entered the woods, and Claire nods yes. You can bet she is starting to realize the truth, that Road secretly defeated that monster all by himself. Anderson sneers, claiming Road probably ran away crying from that massive magical storm. The other boys join in, calling him a coward. Margaret cuts them off instantly, firmly stating that Road will return soon and that nobody is leaving until he gets back. The kids keep gossiping, laughing that he probably got turned into a snack for some hungry Shadowclaw wolf out there. Anderson asks about the weird storm, muttering that even the Shadowclaw wolves were acting pretty strange. Margaret lies, telling them it was just a minor mana eruption and that the beasts are harmlessly heading home. Anderson assumes Road ran away like a baby, thinking the weakling just got lucky before and that he could easily do the same. Seeing Road finally walk out of the trees, Anderson and his buddies start laughing, calling him a runner who needs his mommy. Claire rushes over to ask if he is all right, but Road just calmly tells her everything is totally fine. He walks right past the entire group without giving them a single glance, leaving Anderson absolutely fuming at the disrespect. Margaret studies the boy closely, pulling him aside with a deeply curious look. Road simply says he finished his task, handing her the wolf claw as proof and suggesting they finally head back. She notices that the suffocating dark energy has completely vanished. Did this kid actually destroy the root of all that evil? Shaking her head, she reminds herself he is just a student, and her job is simply keeping these kids safe. With that, she officially ends the outdoor magic class, and the hyped-up students make their way back. Soon, carriages roll along the road, carrying them toward the Grand Seven Cities Academy. Meanwhile, a sinister silhouette slips silently into the dark cave where the broken seal still lies. A mysterious hooded figure slowly steps right into the center of the massive magic circle drawn on the ground. Touching shattered stone, the mysterious person instantly realizes someone ruined their circle. They figure the creature should have already woken up, wondering if a passing Imperial Grandmaster found and ruined their plot. Furious, the figure growls that nobody gets away with messing with their work and whoever did this is going to die. By the next morning, things are totally back to normal at the prestigious Magic Academy as another school day begins. Road wonders exactly how much the teacher witnessed last night, but he still decides to take a risk and ask about the Tear of the Dead. While walking down the main hallway, a sudden loud commotion grabs everyone's attention. A quite sharp-looking blonde kid strolls calmly across the courtyard, instantly turning the heads of all the girls nearby. They are totally charmed by young Kaya's handsome looks, gossiping about how he is so different from those typical lazy nobles. Anderson watches this with absolute envy and rage, muttering that girls only care about Kaya because of his famous archmage brother. Road notices his classmates seething and asks if he hates the blonde guy that much. Anderson snaps back that Kaya is his rival, and he should be the one surrounded by all the pretty girls. Road remembers how insanely jealous he used to be of Kaya in his past life, but now, he could not care less. Footsteps ring out. A figure stops right in front of the boys, cutting off their conversation entirely. And look who it is. Kaya stands there with a smug grin, sarcastically demanding that they move out of his way. Anderson snaps back, telling him to move instead, sparking a massive argument right there in the yard. They glare at each other with absolute fury, and you can practically feel the sparks flying between these two rivals. Whispers break out as the other students watch, knowing both their families are insanely powerful. Suddenly, Margaret appears in the hallway and asks why they are blocking the door, telling them to settle this in today's combat class. Kaya instantly shifts his tone, quickly apologizing to Margaret. He says he is leaving immediately. Anderson mutters that he is just a show-off, but Kaya promises they will finish this during training. Margaret scans the crowd. She locks her eyes onto Road, who acts completely indifferent. Later, in her private office, she asks if the boy needs anything. Bluntly, Road asks her for a special pass to skip the practical combat class this afternoon. Margaret smirks, teasing him. She asks if he is just trying to avoid trouble or hide his real strength from his classmates. Rode just listens to her teasing with a completely blank, exhausted face. Margaret notes he definitely came here for something else, and Rode grins, admitting that she caught him red-handed. Rode cuts to the chase. He asks the teacher if she has ever heard of a legendary artifact called the Tear of the Dead. Margaret admits she knows it, an ancient, incredibly powerful artifact locked in the vault because nobody knows how to use it. Naturally, she gets suspicious, wouldn't you? And directly asks if he is trying to take that dangerous ancient artifact. Rode looks her dead in the eye, confirming quite firmly that yes, he absolutely does. Margaret sighs, explaining she unfortunately lacks the authority to take such a priceless treasure from the vault. Rode wonders if even a teacher is blocked, but she quickly adds a catch. She promises to introduce him to an elite professor, but only if Rode joins today's combat class and shows her his true strength. Rode silently realizes just how clever and manipulative his teacher really is. Having almost no other way to get the item, Rode agrees to the deal, accepting to take part in the practical lesson. Later, everyone gathers inside the massive academy training gym to start their physical trials. Right in the center, young Eleanor stretches out in some comfortable athletic gear. The guys whisper about her beauty, noting she comes from a mysterious family that even Kaya highly respects. Suddenly, everyone notices Kaya walking right up to her, making the rumors about his massive crush on Eleanor feel very real. Kaya greets her with a warm, polite smile, asking how her grandfather has been doing lately. Eleanor thanks him politely, smiling sweetly as she mentions her grandfather is recovering quite well. Suddenly, she spots Rode walking in, completely shocked to see her master here. She completely ignores Kaya, turning around in excitement to run over and greet Rode. Realizing she is about to yell his name, Rode quickly puts a finger to his lips, signaling her to keep quiet. She gets the hint instantly, covering her mouth so she doesn't accidentally expose her close relationship with him. Kaya stands there in absolute shock, realizing the girl completely ignored him for another student. He glares at Rode with pure fury, wondering who this nobody is that made Eleanor just walk away from him. Suddenly, an insanely loud crash echoes through the gym, startling everyone in the room. Anderson storms in, absolutely furious, yelling that Kaya will pay dearly for his morning taunts as Kaya cracks his knuckles, annoyed. He accepts the challenge immediately, saying he is in a pretty terrible mood anyway and wants to vent. Meanwhile, one of Anderson's goons approaches Rode, who was just sitting quietly on a bench. The brute reminds Rode that he got in the way earlier, threatening him to stand up and take his beating. A massive crowd starts gathering around the arena, eager to watch this hype duel between Anderson and Kaya. The Academy's combat instructor steps in to referee, stating he does not care about personal noble rivalries. But he warns them this is a physical-only arena, meaning magic is totally off-limits. Anderson grins nastily, eager to fight, boasting he is just as deadly in close combat as with magic. The instructor asks if Kaya accepts the terms, and the blonde youth immediately agrees. Anderson sneers that Kaya asked for this, so he better not complain about the absolute wreckage heading his way. The rivals take their positions in the center under everyone's watchful eyes. While Anderson keeps trash-talking, Anna and Claire push through the tight crowd to get a front-row view of the massive clash about to begin. Claire asks her friend if she's worried, and Anna fearfully confesses that Kaya actually learned military combat from his brother. Anderson charges with an unhinged face, moving insanely fast and eager to smash his rival's teeth in with raw punches. On the flip side, Kaya stays completely calm, smoothly sliding into a flawless combat stance. Anderson throws a massive punch, but the blonde youth dodges with total ease and perfect precision. Taking advantage of the miss, Kaya immediately sets up a swift, crushing counterattack from above. With one incredibly precise strike, Anderson gets slammed hard onto the floor with a deafening thud. The female students cheer wild, gushing over how strong and insanely skilled Kaya really is. Anna blushes, telling Claire that Kaya is incredibly charming, strong, and rich, basically making him her ultimate dream prince. Kaya looks down coldly at his opponent, telling him to just give up since they aren't even on the same level. The blonde youth demands an immediate apology if he wants his disrespect forgiven in front of everyone. Anderson spits blood on the floor, blinded by rage and refusing to accept defeat as he screams to fight again. Driven by pure hate, he completely ignores the rules, charging forward to throw a cheap shot at Kaya's back. But Kaya spots the sucker punch from behind, and now, watch how he decides to end this for good. With terrifying agility, the blonde youth lands a brutal spin kick clean to Anderson's face, sending him flying back. The crowd stands in total shock, watching the prestigious House of Rune Air get utterly humiliated before everyone. Watching from afar, Margaret spectates the end of the match with a very serious, analytical look on her face. Meanwhile, Anderson's henchman points right at Rode, warning that he'll soon be on his knees, begging for mercy too. The henchman cracks his fingers arrogantly. Rode sighs, thinking that even after reincarnating, he still has to deal with idiots, as the goon throws a heavy punch, warning him to back off. He recalls how in his past life, he solved every problem with his undead army. Back then, he rarely had to throw a punch, but he makes it clear that doesn't mean he can't fight, especially when he doesn't even need his summons here. In the blink of an eye, the brute gets completely dominated, suddenly realizing he's no match for Rode's sheer physical combat techniques. Kaya turns in pure surprise as he hears a crash, watching Anderson's henchman get thrown brutally far across the gym. The brute hits the wall with a thunderous impact, leaving a massive crack in the stone. He collapses completely cold, leaving a trail of smoke and debris under the shocked glares of his classmates. Even Anderson, still down on the floor, is speechless at the massive strength shown by the heir of House Morris. Professor Margaret's eyes go wide in absolute astonishment, incredibly impressed by what she just witnessed. Claire and Anna watch jaw-dropped, barely able to believe that Rode was actually the one who landed that absurd blow. Rode just stands there, totally relaxed in the exact same spot, looking like he did not put any real effort into that move. Our main character thinks to himself that he really tried holding back, but he never expected his opponent to be so insanely fragile. Kaya walks over to the unconscious guy, foaming at the mouth, completely shocked by how much damage was done with just one punch. With slow, heavy steps, the blonde youth walks right up to Rode, asking if he is actually the House Morris heir. The blonde questions if it was truly necessary to get that violent during a basic physical combat training session among classmates. Rode answers, completely relaxed, telling his rival not to worry because he went pretty easy and the guy will be totally fine. He adds that Kaya is actually the last person there who has any right to complain about excessive force in training. Kaya gets absolutely furious at the sassy response, glaring with a terrifying killer aura that starts leaking out. Terrified, Anna whispers to Claire that Rode just picked a fight with the worst possible opponent, and now he is definitely going to get crushed. Onlookers whisper in fear, wondering how a House Morris failure has the nerve to challenge Kaya like that. Ella Lanar covers her mouth, but she is actually worried that Rode will end up completely breaking Kaya if they really start fighting. Margaret watches everything from a distance with a smirk, eager to see what the boy will do to secure that tear of the dead. Kaya's energy surges so intensely around his body that even the students standing far away can feel the pressure. Classmates wonder if he is going to unleash his secret physical technique, rumored to be as destructive as real magic, even without mana. He lunges forward with everything, swinging a crushing iron fist and focusing all his raw strength into one straight punch. His speed is totally absurd. Students realize he was just playing with Anderson, doubting a human without magic could ever move that fast. Seeing Rode stand completely still without making a move, the crowd screams in panic, thinking the House Morris heir is going to die. Kaya's massive fist drives forward toward the boy's face, threatening to absolutely destroy everything in its path. But look at this, Rode casually lifts one hand and catches that killer punch like it is nothing. Kaya stands there in complete shock, realizing his rock-shattering punch was stopped that easily. Spooked by his opponent's mysterious strength, the blonde youth quickly yanks his arm back and leaps away to create some distance. He refuses to believe that all his elite military training is useless against someone he thought was a complete academy failure. Rode just scoffs, saying that if Anderson had taken that violent punch, he would be bedridden in a hospital for months. Some students try to make excuses, claiming Kaya did not use his full strength to avoid severely hurting his classmate. Ignoring the murmurs, Kaya starts gathering an even greater storm of energy around his right fist. He charges right back in, unleashing his chain fist technique to unleash a rapid, frantic flurry of consecutive punches. A literal storm of heavy, blinding strikes rains down on the boy, covering almost every inch of the space in front of him. Dodging with incredibly calm, subtle movements, Rode thinks to himself that since Kaya is pretty strong, he should not be too fragile. Suddenly, one of Kaya's heavy punches looks like it connects directly with Rode's body with massive force during the flurry. The impact sends the boy sliding several meters back across the arena, kicking up a dust screen as the students cheer. Seeing that his opponent can actually take a hit, Rode decides he can finally raise his own power level a little. The crowd of boys cheers wildly, shouting for Kaya to finish off this arrogant guy once and for all right now. But Rode plants his feet firmly on the wooden floor with perfect stability, showing that the impact did not even faze him. Looking totally unbothered, Rode brushes dust off his jacket, mockingly asking if that punch was really his best. Kaya backs away, sweating cold and horrified, seeing the boy walk away without a scratch after taking a maximum power punch he spent years perfecting. And now, get ready, because our main character is about to show him what real power looks like. As she watches him prepare to strike, Ella Lennar covers her eyes, deeply worried about the massive destruction he is about to unleash. Even though he prefers keeping a low profile at the academy, Rode knows he must show off now to secure the tear of the dead. The boy bursts forward like lightning, throwing a crushing punch that rips through the gym air and generates a massive shockwave. Rode's massive punch drives straight toward Kaya, who does not even have time to react to such overwhelming speed. Kaya's eyes widen in pure panic the exact moment he realizes he is getting hit without any chance to defend himself. Under the devastating impact of the punch, the blonde youth gets blasted violently backward, flying straight through the gym air. He crashes into the wooden bleachers with incredible force, wrecking everything and kicking up a huge cloud of dust. Kaya collapses, completely out cold and bleeding. He wears an expression of total defeat after taking just one single punch from Rode Morris. Anna stands completely frozen, shocked that a known failure like Rode Morris defeated the powerful, unbeatable Kaya. Claire watches him seriously, realizing his crazy tavern victory against those mercenaries was not just luck. Several girls rush to help Kaya, while other students accuse Rode Morris of cheating. Seriously, the salt in this room is unreal. No way. In a real magic duel, that Morris heir would never win. The angry crowd demands Rode Morris apologize immediately, mocking him for getting kicked out of his own family. Rode Morris just listens in silence, thinking that in his past life, he would have unleashed his undead legion on these fools. Suddenly, Ella Lennar storms into the center of the arena, screaming at everyone to shut their mouths and stop talking trash. Rode Morris glances sideways, surprised by the young Ella Lennar Ashblade's sudden reaction and authoritative tone. Nonsense. She points her finger in a rage, questioning anyone who doubts Master Rode Morris's impressive strength. She argues that if Kaya's strike had connected with anyone else, it would have been fatal. She tells the weaklings to stop embarrassing themselves, leaving the stunned students whispering about why a high noble is defending a Morris failure. Completely ignoring their useless chatter, she firmly grabs Rode Morris's hand to get him out of there. Let's go. She tells him to leave immediately instead of wasting time on these insignificant fools. Under intense, hateful glares, Ella Lennar pulls the boy along as they walk calmly toward the training gym exit. Humiliated and in agonizing pain, Kaya wakes up repeating Rode Morris's name with a deadly hatred burning inside. Meanwhile, Professor Margaret watches the dispersing crowd from afar with a highly serious look. She smiles with satisfaction, having finally confirmed all her deep suspicions about Rode Morris's true power. Now, she can finally introduce him to the old professor. Walking down a lavish hallway, Rode Morris asks Ella Lennar if her hasty outburst will really be fine. He reminds her that the Ashblades share tight bonds with Kaya's allies, asking if this might hurt her family's business. Ella Lennar casually brushes his concerns off. She declares she never liked that spoiled brat or his incredibly arrogant family. Anyway, she firmly adds that the Ashblade family now serves him, ready to cut ties with anyone her master dislikes. Rode Morris stares at her, surprised by her extreme loyalty, asking again if she is 100% sure about this. She smiles brightly, explaining that her grandfather's recovery made their house strong enough to never fear any trouble. Rode Morris pulls a dark mana stone from his pocket, asking her family for a favor. He warns her to stay sharp, as someone is using this dark energy in a dangerous scheme, and Ella Lennar immediately agrees to put her entire house at his service. But get this, that same night, Kaya is back in his room, completely consumed by pure frustration. Clutching a magical communication device, Kaya desperately begs his older brother for help after the incident. He angrily tells him that the Morris family failure beat and publicly humiliated him right before Ella Lennar's eyes. He adds that the two seem incredibly close, arguing that their family cannot tolerate such a massive insult. On the other end, his older brother listens intently, answering ice cold that he understands the situation completely. He reveals that an incredibly dangerous man named Rini is passing through, and he will send him to pay the boy a special visit. The direwolf? Shocked, Kaya asks if he means the legendary assassin, and his brother calmly confirms it. Kaya bursts into a wicked laugh, celebrating that with this deadly assassin on the hunt, Rode Morris will soon vanish forever. While dark plans are being drawn in the shadows, the door to a mysterious academy room quietly opens. Rode Morris enters Professor Margaret's private office, quietly calling out to her as she stares out the window. Margaret turns and praises the boy's fight, highly satisfied that her gut feeling about his power was completely right. No comment. Rode Morris just smiles innocently, quickly dodging the topic. He claims he only fought that hard to obtain the precious tear of the dead. The professor reveals the artifact belongs to an old scholar and asks him to follow her. As they walk down the long stone hallways, she warns him that the old man has a pretty difficult personality. The two soon enter the Academy's Magic Research Institute. It is an ancient lab packed with strange potions and glowing flasks. Margaret introduces the eccentric Professor Gustav, an old man in dark robes stirring a massive potion bowl. She tries to introduce Rode, but the old professor snaps back, demanding not to be disturbed during his critical research. Margaret leans in and whispers to Rode, warning him that the tear of the dead he wants so badly belongs entirely to that eccentric scientist. She explains that the professor is a very eccentric man, warning that getting him to hand over the valuable artifact hinges entirely on Rode. Looking over at the table, Rode spots a black cat wrapped in glowing green magic circles, realizing the old man is researching resurrection magic. Gustav pours a glowing yellow potion right over the feline, trying to force its lingering soul back into its body once and for all. He locks his anxious glare onto the animal, desperately waiting for even the tiniest sign of life or a single twitch. Suddenly, the resurrection magic circle fails catastrophically, unleashing a massive green lightning explosion that engulfs the room. Margaret screams out for the professor while shielding herself from the violent, escaping magical energy. Gustav falls back in utter defeat, muttering that ancient texts guaranteed life energy would stabilize the soul fragments. She thinks the old professor is hopelessly obsessed with resurrection magic, making zero actual progress despite all his studies. Rode quietly realizes that understanding of the soul in this world is far too shallow, explaining why a true necromancer has never emerged. The old man stares at his potion flask in confusion, wondering if he somehow messed up the recommended dosage. He pours in even more of the magical liquid, hoping a lack of life energy was the true culprit behind his failure. The experiment blows up again, shattering the glass windows and filling the entire laboratory with thick green smoke. Rode instantly spots the glaring mistake, thinking that using life energy on a dead soul is like trying to set solid ice on fire. Gustav screams in absolute frustration over this fresh failure, agonized over where he could have gone wrong. Deciding to finally step in, Rode calmly suggests that the professor stop using those potions packed with raw life energy. Gustav whips around angrily, snapping at the boy that even if Margaret spoke highly of his talents, that gives him absolutely no right to lecture him on his research. The old master yells that Rode has never even studied basic soul theory or resurrection magic. He openly scoffs at Rode's presence, telling him to leave immediately and ordering him to never interrupt his experiments again. Completely unfazed, Rode calmly explains that since life has already left, that energy only acts like poison on the animal's soul. The professor explodes with rage, yelling that water from the fountain of life heals everything and cannot be poison, but Rode tells him to accept the animal's passing, suggesting he use ancient grave dirt inside the magic circle, claiming that nobody understands death better than he does. Margaret panics at his nerve, calling him an idiot for daring to command the hot-tempered Gustav. But get this, the boy's words make Gustav completely freeze, pondering this completely new perspective on death. Wasting no time, Gustav decides to test it, sprinkling ancient grave dirt onto the ritual circle. The black cat's lifeless body slowly begins to float, lifted by the suddenly stabilized green energy flowing from the circle. Gustav's eyes go wide with pure, trembling joy, asking if he has finally succeeded, while Margaret watches in sheer awe, repeating the word success as the cat floats smoothly. Rode silently notes that if the cat had died recently, it actually would have worked, but since its soul already scattered, it requires a different approach. The young necromancer quietly concentrates his hidden chi energy, knowing only a true master of death like him can make this happen. With supreme undead monarch authority, he secretly commands the wandering soul to return to its body. A powerful surge of pure spiritual energy flows with lightning speed directly toward the small cat's motionless body on the table. Then, in a split second, look at those green eyes suddenly snap open, proving the absolute power of the boy's command as the black cat stands up, though Rode knows this summoned soul will only last 7 days. Max, Gustav, and Margaret stand there frozen in complete shock at the unbelievable miracle that just unfolded right in front of them. The old scientist grabs Rode by the shoulders in wild excitement, begging to know his name and where he learned such incredible theory. Margaret smiles proudly, fully enjoying the moment as she proudly introduces the boy to her colleague, telling him that is young Morris. Gustav shouts in pure ecstasy, declaring that Rode has shattered the Archmage's core dogmas and calling him a total magical genius. Margaret is absolutely stunned to see the highly respected professor praise and admire the young boy with such passionate enthusiasm. The old master begs Rode to share what else he knows, but the boy humbly replies that he simply holds a different view on death. The elder recalls something pretty crucial, commenting that Margaret mentioned the young master came looking for the famous tear of the dead. Wasting absolutely no more time, he pulls the gorgeous blue pendant, holding the legendary spiritual artifact from his pocket, displaying it proudly. Wearing a highly focused, mysterious glare, Professor Gustav warns the artifact will be Rode Morris's if he agrees to do just one small thing for him. The old professor hands the item to the boy, revealing the only catch for this gift is for Rode Morris to become his personal assistant. Professor Gustav assures that as his assistant, he will hand any rare material to Rode Morris, so together they can rewrite the history of resurrection magic. Rode Morris sports a subtle smile, realizing the partnership will give him free access to the rare, valuable materials he desperately needs. Margaret questioningly panics since the boy is a complete rookie, but Professor Gustav tells her to hush, claiming she cannot spot true genius. Margaret huffs in sheer rage at the stubborn old man's rude reply. Since he now completely ignores her very presence, Rode Morris accepts the offer super elegantly, thanking him, saying it will be a massive honor working alongside a pro like him. The boy thinks, highly satisfied, that having an official title and his own secret lab will make his necromancy plans way easier. With a welcoming smile, Professor Gustav hands over a beautiful golden key, letting him know the young master can use the facilities whenever he pleases. The old professor proudly shows off his grand lab, officially declaring that from that moment on, Rode Morris is his official head assistant. Margaret watches everything in disbelief, completely unsure whether to laugh or cry over her own student suddenly becoming her coworker. Let's see what happens 2 days later. Our story continues at the lavish Crystal Tavern during a pretty quiet, calm night. Sitting quite comfortably at the venue, Kaya sips a glass of red wine peacefully while waiting for his visitor. The tavern waiter slowly approaches, letting him know the man he was waiting for just arrived, and Kaya orders to let him in. The door slowly opens, and a mysterious, intimidating figure in a dark cloak steps into the private room. It is the feared hitman Rini, known for extreme coldness and surgical precision on his lethal assignments. Kaya stands up quite excited, welcoming the assassin, claiming he has heard tons about his massive fame as the direwolf. Rini blows cigarette smoke, coldly telling him to skip compliments, directly demanding what the boy wants from him. Kaya gets extremely annoyed at the assassin's pretty disrespectful tone, but tries holding his rage so as not to ruin the plan. He hands over a heavy bag containing a gold coin deposit and target intel, promising to pay the rest upon completion. Kaya reveals Rode Morris's photo and full file, describing him as useless trash from a declining family currently studying at the academy. Rini laughs ironically, discovering a big family heir hired him just to eliminate a broke student from the countryside. The assassin dismissively states he has no time for childish games, and that someone insignificant, like the boy, is not worth the effort. Kaya pushes back, saying Rode Morris managed to get close to the Ashblade heiress. He reinforces that this is also a direct command from his brother. Hearing the mention of the powerful House Ashblade, Rini's glare shifts tone instantly, fully getting the real danger of the situation. Since it is a direct order from his brother, Rini accepts the deadly mission, but demands a final payout of 5,000 gold coins. Kaya promptly agrees to the requested fee, screaming with hatred that he only cares about Rode Morris's final elimination. Kaya asks for the job to be clean and slick, and the hitman assures him that pros hold ethics and never leak their clients. He turns with a fake, creepy smile on his face, arrogantly stating he is the best and never fails his missions. Kaya whispers, consumed by hate, that since Rode Morris humiliated him before Eleanor and the whole school, that night will definitely be his last. But wait, under night's deep darkness, Rini watches from atop a roof, surveying the magic academy of the 7 cities' surroundings. Adjusting his dark combat mask, he remembers that according to received intel, the target usually passes right through there. The hitman stakes out a dark, quiet alley where Rode Morris walks daily back to his student dorm. Rini sports a wicked smile under his mask upon spotting the boy walking peacefully, celebrating that his payout is super close. Rode Morris walks, thinking about how energetic Professor Gustav is, and how research left him no time to use the tear of the dead. Suddenly, the young master stops walking, looking sideways coldly, immediately sensing trouble in the air. Rode Morris senses an arrogant assassin who does not even hide his killer aura. Noting the enemy is extremely powerful, at a scary speed, a red streak cuts through alley darkness toward the boy's neck with lethal intent. He effortlessly dodges, wondering if that assassin was sent by the forest's mysterious mage, whose seal was just destroyed. Rode Morris casually stretches his arm, concluding the employer does not matter much, as he will yank that answer out himself. From above, the hitman mocks the boy's absolute calm, sarcastically commenting, Rode thinks his target picked a perfect alley to die in. cold silence. He casts a freezing glare up at the roof. Rini loses his mind, seeing the kid stare back so calmly, feeling deeply insulted by this level of insolence. Screaming with pure hatred, the killer lunges off the roof, his claws burning with lethal magic. He triggers his hidden shadow strike, sending a storm of red energy slashing through the narrow lane. A heavy, brutal thud rattles the quiet street. Wait for it, then comes the sickening patter of blood. Rode stays completely calm. He catches the killer's blade barehanded. He coldly demands to know who ordered the hit. Rini stands frozen, mind blown that some random kid just blocked his ultimate move with his bare hands. With effortless ease, Rode shatters the weapon using only his fingers, dropping the broken metal onto the dark ground. Cold sweat pours down Rini's face as the kid's terrifying power sinks in. The killer leaps backward to gain some ground. He wonders in panic if this kid is actually an intermediate archmage, realizing he needs to run. He hits top speed, vanishing into a streak of pure darkness. The killer tries to vanish. Rode just coldly watches the desperate attempt, warning that if he refuses to talk, there are far more painful ways to make him speak. Suddenly, Rode releases a wave of freezing spiritual pressure, locking down the stone walls and frozen ground. A massive, terrifying shadow rises from the dark, blocking the fleeing killer's path. Rini shrieks in absolute terror as a giant skeletal monstrosity towers over him, cutting off his sole escape route. The mighty summoned soldier hoists up its massive blade, aiming to obliterate the target without an ounce of pity. One clean, devastating slash connects, sending the screaming killer crashing hard against the stone pavement. The armored giant rests its massive blade against the fallen killer's neck, while Rode asks if he is finally ready to talk. Bleeding and broken, the assassin yells in a panic, telling Rode to release him, warning him that his powerful clan will hunt him down. Too late. Rode points his chilling blade right at his face, warning that silence comes with a terrible price. Without a trace of mercy, Rode reaches his glowing blue hand toward the pinned assassin's face. He triggers his dark necromancy spell, Memory Echo, instantly tearing into the helpless killer's mind. Within the memory, Rode witnesses the tavern meeting, proving Kaya and his family orchestrated this entire ambush. He realizes the truth. Kaya and House Shadowthorn just signed their own death warrants by sending an assassin. Terrified, Rini stutters out pleas for mercy, while warning him of their leader, Lord Bruce's overwhelming power. Rode replies with total indifference that he shouldn't worry, since House Shadowthorn will be completely wiped out very soon. He smiles cruelly. He tells the dying killer his soul will serve as a delicious feast for his summons. With a massive crash, Rode summons the beast, Earthsplitter, the giant skeletal monster towering high over the gloomy alleyway. Rini shrieks in horror as the giant skeleton opens its massive jaws. You can already see how this ends. With zero hope of survival, the elite killer is swallowed whole by Rode's monstrous summoned beast. The undead monster devours the assassin's physical form and soul, radiating a strong, bloody red energy. Rode knows their family holds massive influence in the north, so he must play this smart and wait for the perfect moment. Meanwhile, inside a luxury crystal lounge, Kaya sips his expensive drink in total relaxation. Sure of his victory, he gloats that his assassin has already taken care of Rode, laughing at how his rival will never trouble him again. The arrogant blonde nobleman demands invitations be delivered to all his classmates for a massive victory banquet tomorrow. The next morning, gold-trimmed invitations to Kaya's party are distributed all over the Magic Academy of the Seven Cities. Eleanor stares at her invitation, highly skeptical about why Kaya is suddenly throwing such a massive event. Suddenly, her face brightens into a warm smile as she spots her young master, Rode, walking calmly through the corridor. She calls out to him happily, running over while completely forgetting her suspicions regarding the celebration party. Rode notices her worried expression, quietly asking if her stress has something to do with that letter. She holds up the fancy envelope, explaining that Kaya is throwing a party out of nowhere, inviting literally every single student. Recognizing what it is, Eleanor declares she absolutely detests Kaya and has zero desire to attend, but Rode mysteriously hints that she should definitely go. Rode smirks as he comments that he knows the exact reason for this celebration. Eleanor is pretty confused, remembering that Kaya did not even invite him, but Rode just chuckles. Obviously, he was never getting one. Eleanor chuckles, figuring the blonde punk is still crying over his beating in the last combat class, calling him a totally petty, spoiled kid. Later that night, the Academy's grand party hall glows as wealthy, noble carriages pull up for Kaya's massive celebration. Guards stand firm at the banquet entrance, blocking students and demanding their official invitations. Looking stunning in her blue dress, Eleanor shows her family invite and firmly declares that Rode is her guest. The guard stammers nervously, recognizing the legendary House Ashblade Ares, and knowing that blocking her guest means big trouble. Another guard rushes over, quickly whispering in his ear to warn him exactly who these high nobles are. He changes his tone instantly, bowing low to welcome Eleanor and her very special companion. Rode quietly thanks her for getting him inside, while Eleanor chuckles, apologizing for the trouble since he did not have an invitation. Upstairs, the heavy wooden doors to a luxurious private anteroom are left slightly ajar. Adjusting his clothes in the mirror, Kaya anxiously asks if the assassin returned. But the servant admits that the killer has been completely missing since last night, nervously asking if there is any chance Rennie failed the hit. Kaya screams in a furious rage, arrogantly telling him to shut up. Boasting that a legendary elite assassin would never lose to trash, he orders the remaining gold kept ready, then rushes downstairs to welcome his guests. Just look at this stunning hall. It is packed with wealthy young nobles drinking and chatting under glowing lights. Kaya wears a wicked smirk, believing that with Rode dead, nothing can stop him from claiming Eleanor and her family fortune. Nearby, Anna and Claire sip wine while gossiping, curiously wondering what amazing thing happened for Kaya to throw this party. Suddenly, Eleanor steps inside, her jaw-dropping beauty in that glowing blue dress, stealing everyone's breath in an instant. Kaya stares at her with intense desire, firmly believing her powerful northern family will finally be his starting today. He approaches her with a fake, charming smile, offering a glass of red wine while politely asking her to toast beside him. Eleanor completely ignores the drink, glaring directly at him with a chilling look, rejecting his invitation with zero hesitation right in front of the crowd, leaving Kaya looking incredibly foolish and humiliated. You won't believe whose voice suddenly echoes out from the dark, accepting the drink instead. The blonde noble freezes instantly upon hearing that freezing tone as a wave of pure terror surges right down his spine. Rode steps calmly out of the darkness with his own glass, mockingly asking if Kaya would care to toast with him, triggering complete panic. Overwhelmed by sheer terror, Kaya trips over his feet and falls flat on his butt, knocking over tables and wine bottles in the chaos. Trembling violently, he points a shaking finger directly at Rode, screaming frantically, demanding to know if he is still alive or just a vengeful spirit. Rode quietly approaches with an icy stare, mockingly asking what Kaya really thinks he is looking at. Kaya stutters in complete shock, crying that the boy should be dead, and frantically demands to know where the hitman Rennie is. Rode just smirks, asking if Kaya means that high-level assassin who tried to ambush him on the journey. With pure disdain, Rode throws the shattered pieces of Rennie's signature dagger onto the floor with a metallic clatter, which Kaya instantly recognizes. Realizing his legendary assassin actually failed, Kaya is gripped by a suffocating, paralyzing terror. Screaming at the top of his lungs, he demands to know what Rode did to that elite hitman. Rode answers with a deadly, quiet stare, letting off a heavy, suffocating pressure that completely freezes everyone in the entire hall. Eleanor immediately recognizes the name, shocked to hear the nickname of the Empire's most notorious legendary assassin. Crossing her arms, she strictly demands Kaya explain his secret connection to a legendary hitman right now. Completely cornered and sweating cold in pure fear, the blonde noble stammers desperately that this is just a massive misunderstanding, but Eleanor refuses to buy his pathetic lies, completely disgusted to realize he would sink low enough to hire a killer. Kaya points a trembling finger at Rode, desperately begging the girl for just one quick chance to clear up the entire situation. Eleanor furiously screams at him to shut his pathetic mouth right now, refusing to hear any more of his pathetic excuses. She snaps that now she finally understands this party was just a cowardly celebration to toast Rode's secret murder. She coldly declares she already spoke with her grandfather, and just like that, House Ashblade completely cuts all ties with them. Alliance ruined. Kaya grinds his teeth in pure rage, directly blaming Rode for all this humiliating disaster. Zero cares given. Eleanor turns her back, calmly telling Rode that they should leave the banquet right now. Nearby, students gossip in total shock, wondering why Eleanor would break such a prestigious alliance just to stand up for Rode. Claire watches him walk away with a confused look, quietly realizing that he seems nothing like the old Rode she used to know. Under the quiet glow of moonlight, Rode and Eleanor walk away from the banquet hall, leaving all the chaos behind them. Eleanor vents about how incredibly cowardly Kaya was. Idiots. They could never truly grasp Rode's real strength. Rode knows the assassin was way too experienced to be working for Kaya alone, deducing that his entire clan is behind this. He figures the Shadowthorn clan actually planned to target House Ashblade directly, and his sudden interference completely ruined their entire operation. Fools. Eleanor smiles coldly, realizing they actually thought they could usurp her family just because her grandfather was temporarily weakened. She sincerely thanks him for saving her grandfather, swearing with total conviction that her clan will obey his every single command. Hearing her absolute declaration of loyalty, Rode remains silent and thoughtful for a moment before making his decision. Get ready for this. With a chilling glare, Rode makes his demand. He wants the Shadowthorn family completely wiped out. Meanwhile, at the imposing Shadowthorn mansion, a heavy tension fills the silent hallways. Inside his dark office, Lord Bruce answers a call, coldly asking what his younger brother wants, as Kaya desperately reveals that Rini failed the mission. And since Rode showed up at the party completely unharmed, that elite assassin must have been taken out by the boy. Bruce flat out denies that possibility, claiming the shadow assassin he personally chose was far too powerful for some rookie kid. Kaya panics on his bed, ruined. He screams that the Ashblade family just cut ties with them. He blames Rode for ruining his entire life, but Bruce finally realizes the gravity of the situation, coldly stating he will return to the city immediately. Hearing his older brother's icy response, the blonde youth sits up in bed, sudden hope finally shining in his eyes. Kaya flashes a twisted, cruel smile, believing that once his older brother returns, Rode will finally be crushed without a shred of mercy. 2 days pass, shifting our focus to the high-tech research labs at the renowned Magic Academy of the Seven Cities. While working, Rode is deeply intrigued by Kaya's absolute silence, knowing House Ashblade must have moved against his family by now. He knows Kaya is far too proud to accept such humiliation quietly, leaving Rode wondering what his rival is secretly plotting from the dark. Suddenly, Professor Gustav bursts in with a notebook, announcing that they all must leave immediately. Margaret asks where they are heading, and the old professor explains that his research has made a massive breakthrough. He needs to restock rare materials at the magic market, which Margaret explains is a highly exclusive mystic trade center, restricted only to the elite and powerful. She smiles warmly. You know this is huge, right? Assisting him is his chance to broaden his horizons. Rode is surprised, realizing he never even knew such an exclusive northern trade hub existed in his past life. Their mystic carriage races down the stone road, taking the group toward the famously bustling city of Nate. Nate is the commercial heart of the north where regional merchants gather, and you can buy literally anything if you have enough cash. This draws in mages from all across the empire hunting for rare items, transforming the city into a massive, chaotic market. As Rode walks right behind Margaret and Gustav, quietly observing the grand, impressive architecture of the main artifact trade building. Near the entrance, a long-bearded employee's eyes go wide as he instantly recognizes the famous scholar who just stepped inside. He breaks into a friendly smile, rushing over to welcome the respected academy scientist with a deeply respectful bow. Rode notices this warm reception, concluding that Professor Gustav must be a highly respected regular at this mystic market. Right on cue, the market's head manager politely approaches them, welcoming the group with a professional smile. Gustav asks to skip the pleasantries and head straight inside, having absolutely zero interest in the cheap trinkets sold out front. The manager quickly nods, looking a bit nervous as he guides the group deeper inside. Stepping into a massive room packed with rare displays, the manager warmly tells them to make themselves at home. The professor dismissively waves off the ordinary displays, warning that he has absolutely no interest in such basic items. Gustav orders them to bring materials packed with life, energy, and death-tainted things like ancient grave dirt, and the worker quickly agrees. Rode spots a glowing bone on display, figuring it is just a rare swamp gator humerus, cool, but nothing spectacular. He shuts his eyes in disappointment, realizing this hyped-up market has absolutely nothing revolutionary to show off. The kid knows a real magic artifact needs enough power to pull off the impossible, becoming the kind of treasure thousands would fight to the death for. Margaret and Rode catch a loud argument nearby, with one guy shouting he saw the life crystal first while the other snaps that he hasn't paid yet. Margaret asks about the loudmouth, and the manager explains, that's Professor Ball, Gustav's eternal rival who always bickers with him over materials. Rode stares at the massive, glowing green ore, seriously questioning if this thing is actually a life crystal. The main character realizes right away it's just cheap crystalline wind ore, the exact kind elves use to scam gullible buyers. Annoyed, Gustav calls his rival an old vulture, asking if he really has to steal every single thing that catches his eye. Ball just smiles mockingly, first come, first served, and besides, how can Gustav talk about theft when he hasn't even paid? Gustav gets absolutely furious at the jab, gritting his teeth because he's not sure how to answer his pushy rival. Rode calmly steps up and tells the professor that's no life crystal, it's just disguised wind ore. Shaken by this, Gustav asks if the kid is 100% sure. He keeps his cool, Rode confirms with absolute certainty he knows exactly what he is saying. Gustav figures, if that's true, this rock isn't worth the 3,000 gold coins they are asking. He decides to let his rival buy it and take the massive loss, while Professor Ball turns to the manager, asking who the stone belongs to. Looking incredibly awkward, the worker explains that according to house rules, it belongs to whoever finishes paying first. Ball waves the glowing green stone with a smug, winning grin, mocking them since he just paid and it is officially his. Gustav just smiles, declaring he could not be any happier with the news. Both Ball and the shop manager stand there, completely baffled by Gustav's cheerful and totally unexpected reaction. Ball demands to know what that's about. It's pretty weird that his rival is smiling after losing the item, and he feels something's off. Gustav mockingly fires back that he's just happy for him, congratulating him on dropping 3,000 gold coins on cheap wind ore. Ball freezes. His eyes snap wide in pure disbelief at the claim. He bursts into hysterical laughter, asking if his rival has lost his mind or if he's just making up excuses because he can't accept defeat. Pointing at the intense glow of the stone, he tells everyone to feel this raw life energy. This is no ore for weak mages. The manager steps in nervously, pleading with Gustav to stop making baseless accusations, since their store appraisers are incredibly strict. Gustav stays silent, but Rode calmly tells him not to worry at all. The kid points with total confidence, repeating that the shiny object in Ball's hand is just wind ore. Irritation flares. Both Ball and the manager glare at the boy's absolute nerve. Ball glares down at the young assistant with a deadly look, furiously asking who he thinks he is to make such claims. The worker snaps at the kid to watch his mouth, warning him that working for Gustav doesn't give him the right to slander them. Gustav immediately defends the boy, declaring Rode knows far more than any of them, and tells Ball to shut his mouth. Ball scoffs, claiming Gustav has completely lost his mind to make a mere student his chief assistant, before shoving the glowing stone forward and demanding the boy explain that intense green aura to back up his ridiculous claim. Demonstration time. The youth steps forward to face the challenge. Rode explains that the stone only emits this lifelike energy because of a sneaky elven illusion, and draining that false energy is all it takes to expose the fake. He then asks the manager if they have ancient cemetery dirt in stock, since a single handful can devour that energy and shatter the spell. The manager stammers. They actually keep it in stock. The boy commands him to fetch it right away, and soon, a large metal bowl filled with ancient gray dirt sits on the counter. Rode challenges the angry professor to drop his precious stone in there and watch the truth come out within a single minute. Ball accepts the challenge, warning them what happens if it really is a life crystal. Both Gustav and his genius assistant will have to apologize in public, and then he drops the glowing stone right into the gray dirt. Smoke erupts. A thick green cloud billows, lighting up the entire room. Ball points at the reaction and laughs victoriously, screaming that the vital energy is still insanely intense. But when the bright glow fails to vanish, the smug professor starts sweating cold from pure worry. Even Margaret gets incredibly anxious, letting out a worried murmur as the test appears to be failing. She quickly whispers to Rode, asking if he is absolutely sure about this because public humiliation would crush their pride. Rode tells his teacher not to worry at all. He calmly promises it will all be over in 10 seconds. Ball mocks them, calling everyone fools and laughing that even elves couldn't forge Winder into a high-tier life crystal. Suddenly, the shop manager panics, screaming in absolute disbelief. Watch this. The green smoke clears, and the stone totally loses its glow. Margaret stands frozen in shock. It is just worthless wind ore, and onlookers wonder what incompetent appraiser made such a massive blunder. People gossip about a fool who paid 3,000 gold coins for complete trash. Ball turns pale. Gritting his teeth, he realizes he was totally and completely played. Furious, he screams at the top of his lungs, calling them all dirty cheaters for selling him garbage. Gustav bursts out laughing, thanking Rode for keeping him safe from that scam. He laughs right in Ball's face. Furious, the rival professor slams the useless stone hard onto the floor. He turns and yells one final threat: "This is not over." Then he stomps off. The manager bows low, offering sincere apologies while his eyes burn with intense hatred. Inside his head, Ball swears he will get his revenge. Gustav celebrates, saying how incredibly satisfying it is to finally see his old rival defeated like this. The old professor thanks Rode, telling the boy he can grab any materials he wants because his lab is paying for everything. Gustav warns him to watch out for fakes, and the manager quickly assures him it was just an accident. The old professor just huffs skeptically and keeps walking through the market. The manager stands there completely tense, wondering how they made such a blunder and where this genius kid came from. Just outside, a mysterious man in a metal helmet and hood watches them with bad intentions. He curses angrily under his breath, realizing the kid completely ruined his scam. Now they will investigate where the ore came from, and he wants the boy dead. Remembering the boy also made Professor Ball furious, he schemes to use the professor to eliminate him. Meanwhile, Ball walks down the market stairs under the hot sun. Still shaking with anger, he grumbles, unable to accept that Gustav found such a brilliant assistant. The professor laments his huge financial loss and public humiliation, fearing he will become a total laughingstock. Suddenly, a voice calls out from behind, leaving him completely confused. The mysterious spy slowly walks up to Ball with a calm, steady look. Ball rudely asks if he works there, demanding to speak with the manager if they want to pay him back. The stranger tells him to calm down, claiming the management is already investigating what happened. With a wicked smile, the stranger claims the section's appraiser secretly met up with Gustav's assistant several times. Can you blame him? Hearing that, Ball's eyes go wide in shock. The professor angrily asks if the stranger is suggesting this was all a setup to humiliate him. Playing innocent, the stranger says he is simply sharing some gossip he heard in the hallways. He keeps planting seeds of doubt, whispering how strange it is for a mere kid to know what a professor did not. Ball lowers his head, letting out a dark laugh filled with pure hatred. Ball agrees it all makes sense if the boy set it up, swearing he never expected Gustav to play so dirty. He glares at the man, demanding to know why he is sharing this story directly. The man calmly replies a cheating scandal like that would destroy the market's reputation. Ball gives a sinister look, realizing that from this moment on, they share the exact same goal. The stranger smirks, confirming without hesitation that they are fully aligned. Walking through the crowded city, Ball swears that Gustav and his assistant will pay dearly for this. With a murderous glare, the rival professor promises they will both learn what happens when you cross him. The scene cuts to an open area of Nate City, where local trade buzzes under the warm sun. From the shadows, a mysterious figure watches the crowd with a satisfied smile. Meanwhile, Gustav and Rode and Margaret keep walking peacefully through the mystic market. The old professor crouches at a simple floor stand to inspect some strange objects. He inspects a volcanic heart, grumbling in frustration. He sees the drained pieces, now just empty shells with zero magic left inside. Next, he eyes a dried potted plant, tossing it away as just dead nightmare ivy with absolutely no market value. Rode glances at the trashy items around, doubtful he'll find anything actually useful here today. But just as he's about to walk away, check this out, he stops, sensing a powerful pulse of mysterious life magic. Rode instantly recognizes the piece as bloodwood, a super rare material that only forms under brutal conditions. It looks pretty fossilized from age, but the raw life energy inside is absolutely massive. It is perfect for stabilizing souls in his research, but then, he looks over and spots something even more shocking. Muttering to himself, his eyes lock onto a weird decorative skull with a strange purple gem jammed right into its forehead. Rode realizes it is an incredibly rare Helor fragment hidden right inside the bone, the perfect tool to skyrocket his necromancy to a top tier. Playing it cool, Rode points at the junk, asking the merchant for a price to use them as simple lab table shims. The merchant chuckles, explaining that those northern gravestones are just pretty tough rocks with absolutely zero value to appraisers. He offers the stones for just 5 silver coins apiece, letting the young buyer pick whatever he wants. Smirking slightly, the boy offers to buy the whole pile of ancient stones and bones for 50 silver coins total. Thinking he just scammed the kid with total trash, the seller happily takes the deal right away. Rode hands over the pouch of silver, finishing the deal quickly, while Margaret sighs, complaining that this trip was pretty much a total waste of time. Rode passes the fossilized wood over to Gustav. He explains it is rare bloodwood full of life energy for their research, but the old man looks skeptical, telling the boy he knows what bloodwood is and this is just a regular rock. Keeping his cool, the assistant insists it is real, just hardened over centuries, prompting a curious Gustav to channel some mana to test it himself. Instantly, the professor's eyes pop wide in shock as the stone flares with an intense, blazing crimson light. Margaret stands there speechless, completely blown away by the insanely powerful life aura radiating from the ancient material. The old man can hardly believe what he is seeing right now. Overwhelmed by the discovery, Gustav gasps that it really is bloodwood, while Rode quietly examines the tiny Helor fragment in his palm, already planning his next move. He smiles to himself, knowing this little fragment is his ticket to a massive power boost, just as night falls and silences his private lab. Rode plans to use the ore to reach novice mage tier, while using the Tear of the Dead to elevate Duran to advanced status. The terrifying skeletal knight Duran materializes, dropping to one knee before his master in absolute loyalty. Rode flicks the glowing gem to his summon, commanding him to absorb the artifact and reclaim his true strength. Duran obeys, crushing the crystal in his heavy fist and pulling in the massive wave of released dark energy. Look at this, a massive blast of blue spectral fire completely swallows up the giant skeletal knight. Road watches the wild evolution as a glowing energy cocoon wraps around his servant, before loud cracks suddenly echo through the room. The cocoon violently shatters, sending a powerful shockwave across the entire chamber as a fully rebuilt, terrifyingly strong black-armored knight bows with blazing eyes. Satisfied, Road compliments his servant's incredible upgrade, proud that Duran has officially reached the advanced mage rank, before grabbing the Helor fragment for his own turn. He crushes the purple gem, unleashing a heavy cloud of mystic energy that instantly wraps around his body. A massive pillar of lightning and raw spiritual power shoots up, lifting the boy high into the air. He focuses his energy, realizing Duran's breakthrough and the gem's power are creating a pretty crazy combination. Thanks to this massive surge of power, he easily shatters his bottleneck, reaching the novice mage tier. Road knows that with this brand new tier and an advanced level summon at his side, his survival is guaranteed. Smiling confidently, he realizes he can finally cast advanced spells and pull off combat maneuvers that used to be impossible. The next day, the powerful Shadowthorn family's carriage arrives at the gates of their massive estate. A man wearing heavy military boots steps out of the carriage under the watchful eyes of the estate guards. Lord Bruce Shadowthorn steps forward, sporting a cold expression and wearing his luxury armor, as Kaya eagerly runs out, incredibly relieved his older brother is finally back home. Bruce glares at him coldly, declaring he already knows everything. He demands explanations from Kaya, feeling humiliated as the Ashblades cut all ties. Kaya desperately makes excuses, claiming their rival is far too strong, while whining about their missing assassin and ruined deals. Bruce stands there, highly intrigued, wondering since when such a powerful monster was hiding in the northern lands. Clenching his black leather-gloved fist, he declares it makes absolutely zero difference who that boy is. Look at that terrifyingly maniacal grin, he swears the rival must die for ruining his plans. Since the North belongs to his family, he summons his hidden shadow, Lex, who promptly steps forward to answer. Lex, the family's top-tier elite hitman, stands ready to serve, presenting himself before his master with a calm, imposing stance. Bruce boasts that Lex is his sharpest blade, an elite mage with a blue blessing who trained with Lenny and hunted an ice giant solo. Lex greets Kaya in a deep, ice-cold tone, showing the utter composure of a seasoned professional killer. Kaya shivers under the hitman's terrifying aura, realizing this guy is a tier way above Lenny with countless bodies on him. Prepping his hidden blades, Lex calmly demands the target's data. He notes that even if his subordinate Lenny was weak, he still must avenge his death. Kaya grins with pure excitement, telling the deadly assassin that everything is perfectly set up, slamming a detailed report of target intel right onto the table with a loud thud. Bruce reads the papers, letting out a sarcastic smile. He questions if their rival's big trump card is really just Professor Gustav's assistant. Lex warns that since the professor is highly influential and the boy is on high alert, striking inside the academy or mid-street is impossible. Hearing this, the clan leader realizes their only real option is to bait the boy directly into their own territory. Kaya gets a brilliant idea, suggesting they should bait him by sending a formal invite alongside the Ashblade family. They can host a fake apology banquet, taking advantage of the rival leader's old age to ambush and wipe them all out in one sweep. Kaya excitedly points out this solves all their problems at once, while his brother silently observes him with a thoughtful gaze. Bruce agrees, declaring that if they are actually going to do this, they must make absolutely sure there are zero slip-ups, wiping out every single enemy in a lightning strike to seize total control of the North. The scene shifts to the Ashblade family's lavish mansion, beautifully shining under the soft daylight. Seeing her grandfather deeply focused on a document, Elalenar approaches, curiously asking what he is reading so intently. Igna explains that Kaya sent a formal invitation offering 20% of their business as an apology. Crossing her arms, Elalenar scoffs that a complete hypocrite like him would never apologize, warning it is a clear trap. The patriarch rests his hand on the table, quietly pondering his granddaughter's highly logical warning. He agrees the entire invitation is just toxic bait, instructing her to go get the respected Grandmaster Rhodes' opinion first. Elalenar nods with deep resolve, rushing off to deliver the urgent message to their young leader. Meeting with Rhode, she explains the entire situation regarding the highly suspicious 20% business deal. The main character finds humor in this sloppy attempt, laughing at how incredibly clumsy and bold their enemies are. Now, get ready for this, he actually smiles, because this is his golden chance to wipe the Shadowthorn family off the map forever. The very next day, a grand carriage arrives to transport the group straight to the banquet. Guard Leon waves with a bright smile, telling the Grandmaster that the Patriarch ordered him to pick him up personally. Rode calmly adjusts his formal clothes, agreeing that the time has finally come. On their way, old Igna admits he feels infinitely safer and more confident having Rode right there with them. He notes the enemy does not even suspect he was fully cured of his sickness, promising to make them deeply regret this pathetic trap as they arrive at the imposing, dark Shadowthorn mansion, guarded by masked sentries. Bruce greets them with hypocritical bows, pretending he lost his head recently, offering this grand banquet as a humble plea for peace. Bowing low, Bruce cruelly thinks that the one who laughs last always laughs best. He knows for a fact that absolutely nobody is escaping alive once caught in their anti-magic barrier and Lex's deadly strikes. He hatefully schemes to destroy the Ashblades, enslave Elelenar, and chop Rode's corpse to pieces to feed to the street dogs. Rode easily senses his rival's killing intent, mockingly wondering why he is in such a massive rush before they are guided to the grand dining hall. Formally inviting them to sit, Bruce starts his deceptive welcome speech, offering deep apologies for the stupid mistakes his brother Kaya made, proposing they forget the past. Our host politely gestures with a sweeping arm, inviting everyone to sit down. Rode quietly sweeps the room with his skill, locating 7 hidden nodes, forming an anti-magic circle so perfect even Igna missed it. Noticing his subordinate looking pretty tense, the boy tells her to just relax. Trusting her leader completely, Elelenar exhales and calms her nerves. Across the table, the 2 family heads raise their wine glasses, offering a fancy toast to celebrate this fake new era of peace. Keeping things professional, Igna brings up the business, asking about the promised 20% transfer. Bruce lets out a casual chuckle, joking that he almost completely forgot the most crucial part of their deal. But underneath that warm grin, his cold eyes reveal the truth. He is ready to slaughter everyone. Clapping his hands twice, he signals his mages to trigger the magic ambush. A butler steps up, carrying the transfer contract on a silver platter, politely stating they just need a signature. Not suspecting a thing, the old patriarch reaches out to grab the document and finish this negotiation. But look at this. The exact moment his fingers graze the paper, a deadly spell triggers. The butler sheds his disguise, lunging at the patriarch with razor-sharp claws while screaming a deadly threat. He yells that it is no contract, but a death sentence, yet Igna stays completely calm, keeping his wine glass steady. A massive crash shakes the room. Shattered glass and sharp debris fly everywhere. The assassin stumbles back in total shock, unable to understand how his sneak attack was repelled so easily. Igna slowly stands, draped in a massive, blinding golden aura radiating from his newly healed body. Shaking with fear, Bruce realizes the elder is at peak mage strength, stuttering to ask how he could possibly be healed. Igna laughs, mocking him by saying a Grandmaster cured him, and that Bruce has finally shown his true, ugly self. Bruce warns there is no turning back, commanding Lex to team up so they can wipe out these invaders together. Absolute chaos erupts as they clash at crazy speeds, trading strikes across the hall. Even outnumbered, the seasoned patriarch just grins before unleashing his own deadly technique. He dares them, "Bring everything you have," vowing to teach these arrogant brats a painful lesson. But wait, that is when the giant anti-magic circle overhead starts glowing a deadly purple. Suddenly, his inner magic is completely cut off. The patriarch's eyes widen as he realizes he is trapped in an anti-magic barrier. He tries desperately to cast spells, only to find he cannot channel a single drop of mana. Bruce laughs, mocking that he spent a fortune on this barrier, telling the old man to just die so Clan Ashblade can finally be his. Seeing her grandfather in total danger, Elelenar screams his name across the chaotic hall. Without his magic, the elder still masterfully dodges physical blows, leaving his enemy super annoyed by his slick agility. Knowing things are too dangerous, Igna yells for Elelenar to run away with Rode immediately. With tears streaming down, she grips her sword hilt tightly. Elelenar refuses to leave her grandfather behind. She begs Rode to run and save himself, claiming she will stay to fight and happily die beside her family if she has to. Rode walks calmly past the young girl, sternly telling her to step back and stay out of the fight. Desperate, she screams that even he cannot cast spells inside the barrier, begging him to run away. Ignoring her cries, Rode keeps his glowing blue eyes fixed ahead, staring right at the deadly assassin, Lex charging straight toward him. Lex runs at full speed to deliver a final blow, asking if he was the one who killed Lenny. Grinning like a maniac, the killer screams that he will avenge his dead buddy by slicing Rode in half. A loud metallic clang echoes as Lex's lethal strike gets blocked out of nowhere by some invisible wall. Repelled backward, Lex stumbles away in shock, unable to understand how some low-tier brat blocked his absolute best hit. His eyes pop as a massive, horrifying skeletal beast covered in black flames rises directly behind Rode. Glaring with sheer malice, Duran warns that anyone lifting a weapon against his master is basically a dead man.